In the first year of the human era, people were destined for their fate. The whole world was overflowing with monsters. However, there appeared people who received great power. There were also those who could feel the power, but could not awaken. They were even recruited for a carefree life. One of the teenagers noticed that a new game had been released. This unknown game is similar to a popular novel. High school student Lin Yunmu decided to test his skills in the game. He was suddenly knocked off his feet by an excited student. He announced that the awakened one's car had arrived. Lin Yunmu didn't see any point in waking up. He decided not to get into it and continued playing. This game involves saving a beauty. To start the game, Lin needs to place his palm on the screen. When he did this, he felt a flow of strong energy. His whole body began to be pulled inside the screen. Lina was notified that the shadow system had officially launched. At this point, the young man did not understand what all this meant. He saw something moving in his shadow. Through the cloud of energy, he saw the silhouette of a man. This creature is supposed to help Lin play the game. However, the young man was frightened that this man had come out of his shadow. Lin inherited a system through which he would gain experience and rewards. He couldn't believe that this was a system from a popular novel. The system notified Lin Yunmu that the shadow would help him in battle. The hero can control the shadow, and was incredibly happy about it. He will only see his evolved shadow in battle. Lin will immediately receive the first task from the system. He needs to kill an ant in the garden with the help of a shadow. Lin Yunmu activated his shadow without thinking. A second later, the shadow attacked the ant. She completed the first task of the game brilliantly. The system offered Lin a reward for killing the ant. The young man thought that he would be awarded a weapon, but suddenly he felt the energy of the flow. He had never dared to dream of awakening before, but now he has a chance to become one of the best. Lin announced to everyone that today would change his whole life. The people around him did not understand what had happened to him. Lin ran home with a feeling of joy. He wanted to tell his mother about his success. However, his mother was tied up by armed men. She asked her son to run away because these people were awakened. Lin decided to disobey his mother and save her. He was immediately stopped by one of the awakened ones. The attacker put a gun to his head. Lin carefully asked the villains why they had entered his house. The attacker explained that Lin's father had escaped during the mission, framing the squad. Because of his actions, the entire squad was destroyed. The hero knew that his father always protected people to his own detriment. An investigation is currently underway, and the villains asked the young man not to worry about his father. They let Lin go, but decided to take his mother with them. The young man stood up to defend his mother and attacked the villain. The awakened man used special power and missed the blow. Lin managed to take the weapon from him. They explained to him that only a person with flow energy could use the gun, but they didn't know that the hero had received this ability. They felt the energy of the flow and panicked. When the villains ran towards Lin, he released his stream at them. In addition, he shot at the main attacker. The villain was able to stop the bullet with energy, but Lin fired again, and the man took the bullet to his chest. The awakened one managed to catch the bullet without taking any damage. Lin realized that this was the power of an awakened person. Now the villains have every right to detain Lin. The mother asked her son to submit to them completely. She didn't know he had flow energy. She knew she would never see him again and asked him to work harder on himself. The villains will soon check whether Lin Yunmu's father is guilty. The leader of the group asked Lin to wake up quickly to help his parents. The hero decided to prepare for the test of the awakened, which takes place once a year. To awaken, he needs 100,000 points. He set the shadow to automatic mode to kill as many ants as possible. Lin cannot rely on just the shadow and must engage in practice. The more energy there is in the flow, the higher the chance of awakening and saving the father. He promised himself that this time he would succeed. 7 days later, he arrived at school. The teacher told the students about the importance of flow energy. If an awakened person acquires energy, he will immediately become respected in society. At the end of the lecture, Lin Yunmu arrived, who was late for class. He heard from the teacher that the chance of awakening was 1 in 10,000. Later, the selection of students for the presence of flow energy began. Lin barely made it into the last group. He noticed that many students had given up on taking the test. Suddenly, he was reproached for hoping to become awakened. It was Qian Fei, the son of the head of a large company in Happy Wind City. He explained that Lin did not dare come here, knowing about his father's crime. Qian Fei and his friends believed that Ling definitely could not have the energy of the flow. One of the students was rude to Qian because he was simply jealous of his friend's relationship with Yunmu. This guy was Lin Yunmu's best friend, Zhang Kai. He reproached Qian Fei's company for simply being embarrassed by the Ling family's problems. They always wanted to be friends with him because of his father's connections with the army. Lin thanked his friend Zhang for this performance. Zhang Kai is seriously worried about Father Lin's affairs. The hero told him that the investigation was still ongoing. At that moment, Lina's friend, whose name is Min Li, arrived. She was embarrassed that Lin came to watch her take the exam. The young man announced to her that he would also undergo the test of awakening. Min knew that Lin's father was accused of betraying his comrades. She told Lin that she had recently felt the energy of the flow. Thanks to this, she can make her dream come true and see the world. She is ready to leave Lin for the sake of her performance. Because of his father's problems, Lin saw dogs around him who pretended to be his friends. From the very beginning, he did not try to look at this world soberly. He wished Min success in the exam and said goodbye once and for all. There was a huge queue to take the exam. Zhang Kai managed to secure a place for Lin in the middle of the crowd. However, Lin Yunmu pushed everyone aside and made his way to the front to take the exam. He didn't notice that Chen Fei was among these people. Xian reproached him for not knowing his place. Lin pounced on him, saying that he was already awakened. His whole body was covered with the most powerful energy. Both Ming and the other disciples could not believe what was said above. From the feeling of energy, Qian realized that Lin had not lied. Now Lin is in control of the entire situation with Chen's group. Zhang Kai was proud that his friend had become so strong. An important person approached Lin and confirmed the presence of the energy flow. He handed him the sign of the Awakened One, which grants special rights. Lin needs to come to Cloud Fort to register. The representation of the Masters of the Energy Flow will await his arrival. Min immediately came to Lin to apologize. Lin Yunmu felt uneasy and didn't want to talk to her. He didn't want to forgive her for betraying him. He abruptly apologized to her and walked past. The young man announced that he wanted to fulfill his dream and see the world. Later, he received a call informing him that his father would not be held accountable. Lin's father is receiving the best treatment after the incident. The hero now has the Fluxer sign, which grants spatial storage. With its help, he will be able to enter virtual space. The user verification was successful and Lin entered the space. His Fluxer sign is registered in the system. Lina was immediately transported into virtual space. The entire normal surrounding world disappeared. Lin Yunmu immediately sensed the presence of strangers. Two faceless soldiers approached him. They distracted Lin's attention as a hare flew out towards the hero. Pedro the hare announced that from that day on, he would be Lin's assistant. According to him, here a young man can acquire combat skills and techniques. Pedro asked the two heroes to accept these virtual models. Lin realized that they were talking about him and his shadow. The virtual world recognized the shadow as a separate person. After this, the space created Lina and his shadows as virtual characters. Pedro the hare decided to teach the heroes the basics of the virtual world. Lin suddenly felt a tremor throughout his body. He, the shadow and the hare, Pedro were thrown into another dimension. The path was long and at the end there was light. The company of heroes flew out of the energy cloud into the city. This place was very different from the city where Lin lived. Time in this virtual world flows 3 times faster. People in the virtual world have 3 times more time than ordinary people. The outdoor screen showed the battle and the masters' fights. This virtual combat system is capable of copying skills and abilities. Many people hone their techniques here. Pedro started matching an opponent for Lin. The main character immediately found himself in another room. Here he was filled with feelings and energy that were different from the ordinary world. For the fight, the system gave him 2 weapons. Suddenly an arrow flew at him. Lin managed to jump back and avoid being hit. After this, a stranger appeared, targeting Lin. He realized that he had stumbled upon a successful player. However, he believed that the hero could not win this battle. The gentleman pounced on Lin, who took the attack with dignity. The hero jumped to the side in time, avoiding damage. The fighter didn't want to give him a chance to escape. He shot Lin to end the game quickly. But the young man managed to hide from him. He made a maneuver and beat the fighter. Lin knew that he would now defeat his opponent. The next second he shot him in the head. This only happened because the fighter relaxed at the sight of the newcomer. Lin believed that the ants were much stronger than this man. A yellow energy sphere flew out of the fighter's body. It split into several more balls. All these spheres flew into the hero's body. For a long time, Lin could not understand what this phenomenon was. The system congratulated him on absorbing the essence. As a reward for this, the hero received the A-rank technique Admiralty Shroud. By defeating the Master of Flow Energy in the virtual world, you can obtain the essence. Later, Lin will be able to purchase a technique or skill using essence. Admiralty Shroud reduces damage taken by 30%. With each level, the resistance will increase. Pedro the hare came to help Lin. The hero asked him to complete a similar task again. He needs to get as many awards as possible. The enemy was picked up, and Lin found himself in a new location. The young man was surprised when he saw his next opponent. She was an experienced and fit female fighter. Lin admitted to her that he never fights with the girl. However, this time he is ready to go against principle. For the sake of victory, he is ready to do anything. He made the first attack on the girl. The heroine considered it vile that this man attacked her not from the front, but from behind. Then Lin approached her face and announced his future victory. He believed that he was right, since in war all means are good. He made another attack, but the girl dodged it. During the battle, she realized that Lin was an ordinary person. The hero did not understand what was being discussed, and then the girl became very angry. She pounced on him, causing minor damage. Lin found the strength to stay on his feet, because he wanted to win. The warrior heroine decided to end this long battle. She took a deep breath and felt a new strength. Her eyes seemed to be filled with hellish flames. She rushed at Lin and punched him. The hero felt severe pain throughout his body. The girl realized that she had won a victory over the newcomer. Lin couldn't come to his senses for a long time. The heroine decided to explain to him what kind of technique it was. This is the ultimate technique of the 1,000 cuts of 36 forms. There is no one who can defeat her, but the main character was able to do it with one blow. Lin declared that the girl lost because of her overconfidence. The heroine realized too late that her opponent had flow energy. At the beginning of the fight, Lin thought that he would lose to her. The Admiralty shelter took some of the damage. The system congratulated Lin on receiving 70 cosmic elements. Lin has just learned the basics of the Blade of Violence technique. He realized that the stronger the enemy, the higher the reward. He approached Pedro with a request to find another opponent. All the experienced players considered it disgusting to lose to one of the simple newbies. People watching the fight believed that Lina had a rare defensive technique. After some time, the main character decided to visit his father. Father came to the city of Heavenly Clouds for treatment. The hospital is far from home, so the father needs his son's support. On the way to the hospital, Lin heard a cry for help. The hooligans surrounded the fragile girl and tried to take her away. The girl explained to them that she had urgent business. The hooligans knew that the girl's father was in the hospital and urgently needed money. They were willing to pay her for one meeting with them. The girl didn't have time to respond to the offer before a basket of fruit flew at the villains. The main character reacted in time and knocked one of them to the ground. He suggested that the hooligans choose another place to have fun. He reproached them for spoiling the fruits he had bought for his father. Therefore, the hooligans will have to answer for both the girl's offense and the food damage. Lin demanded that they simply pay him. It turned out that the heroine was acquainted with Lin Yunmu. The hero asked her to step aside and protect herself. One of the villains grabbed a weapon and began to threaten Lin. He made an attack, but the hero was much faster than him. The hooligan realized that he was about to say goodbye to his life. At that very moment, he received a blow to the face. After the fight, the hero took all the money from the villains as an apology. The men begged him for forgiveness. He explained that the girl was his sister. "My sister always brings troubles like this. But if it weren't for this incident, the hero would not have found the hospital where his father was lying." A little earlier, the hooligan handed him his chief pharmacist business card. He was ready to come to his aid at any moment, but Lin threw away the business card. Lin realized that Sister Song needed money to pay for her treatment. The girl explained that all the family's savings were spent in a couple of weeks. The hero asked her to leave all of her father's future expenses to him. He has become awakened, and money will not be a problem for him. After talking with Lin, Song returned to the ward to see her mother and father. She told her father that now he didn't have to worry about money. His son found a way to get any money. At this moment, Lin Yunmu entered the room. The father did not show any joy at the birth of his son. He knew that no amount of money would help him. He told his children that he now had no legs. This news greatly shocked Lin. However, he reassured his father by saying that he had paid all the bills. Lin told his family that he had a special energy that had awakened him. Despite the absence of legs, the father rose from his bed and laughed out loud. He thought that Lin had simply lost his mind and was talking nonsense. The main character got angry and decided to leave the ward. His father told him afterward that he would never become awakened. He stopped Lin and picked up a special suitcase. The father wanted to give this suitcase to his son. The hero knew that this was a combat weapon that his father treasured. It is capable of increasing the combat power of any awakened. An ordinary person cannot cope with the power of this unit. According to his father, Lin's strength will increase with this item. The young man only wanted to borrow it for a short time. He wanted his father to be able to use the relic again in the future. The hero opened the weapon to study its features in detail. He announced that he would be its new owner for a short time. The parents immediately noticed their son's energy. With the help of the suitcase, Lin acquired new equipment. Father said that only the awakened can receive it. After some time, the hero returned home. He is preparing to go to Sky Cloud Castle tomorrow. He never had a chance to get there before. The next day, he arrived in the city of Happy Wind. Many masters have noticed the appearance of children from respectable families here. People reassured Mr. Lun that his son would definitely become awakened. At this moment, Luo Jin, who is the best in Jifeng City, arrived. Jin's father broke through to the highest level and became a flow master. After him, a young man appeared, whom his father forced to come here. His father allowed him to return home immediately at his own discretion. He was a descendant of a wealthy family from Jifeng City, Zhengdaxiong. Besides them, Liu Nojie, the granddaughter of the chairman of the Association of Masters, appeared in the city. She had been waiting for this day for a long time when she could see her grandfather. Many students discussed the emergence of a couple of talented students this year. A voice from the outside announced that an awakened one had appeared in the high school. It was Zhang Kai who greeted Lin's appearance with loud applause. All the students thought that this guy was just too arrogant. Luo Jin laughed and called Ling a mentally retarded person. The protagonist felt incredible shame and was ready to sink into the ground. The aura surrounding him was full of negativity. Lin rode a homemade throne in front of the audience. Liu Noji said she was proud to see a new awakened disciple. The time came, and the master called all the newcomers. This event was to go to Tianyun together. She then opened a portal and began pairing the students off. The main character had never seen such power before. Luo Jin was in the first pair. His companion is Zheng Daxiong. The first pair immediately went into the portal. The main character ended up in the second pair. Suddenly, someone's hand grabbed him and pulled him forward. It was the same Liu Nuojie who dreamed of meeting Lin. Her appearance greatly embarrassed the young man, and he felt a sense of falling in love. The portal created by the master leads to Tianyun Heavenly Cloud Castle. This city cannot be compared with the lower cities. Liu heard from her father that this city was constantly moving across the sky. Only constant movement helps people escape from monster attacks. The newcomers were introduced to the director of the academy, whose name was Tang An. She announced that the academy would become the residence and headquarters of the students. There are currently 7 moving castles, and the heroes are in one of them. The students learned that these castles govern their own districts and cities. These cities are responsible for the education and combat training of the awakened. Tang An asked everyone not to rejoice after successfully passing the entrance exam. This event takes place annually. 6 months after its start, a raiding tournament is taking place in the city. Resources will be supplied to the city based on the results of the raiding tournament. From now on, all city dwellers will rely only on the newly awakened. And so the bus with the students flew up and went to the next location. On the way, Lin told the director about the battle with the girl in the virtual arena. He noticed that there was an unusual firepower in her energy. Tang An couldn't believe that a newbie had defeated a dark energy flow fighter. Luo Jin heard this conversation and became envious of the newcomer. He wasn't as strong as Lin. This situation immediately attracted the attention of all the students. They surrounded Lin to find out the details of the battle. According to them, even Luo Jin cannot boast of such a result. Later, Liu told him that it was a dark and destructive energy flow. This happens to 1 in 1,000 awakened ones. Only Liu believed Lin's story and wanted to see his rare energy. After the conversation, the heroes hurried to the dormitory, their new place of residence. The students were allowed to choose a room in which they would spend a long time. Luo Jin, as the strongest disciple, was asked to choose a room first. The protagonist interrupted him and announced his choice. His room is on the side, which will allow him to easily control the shadows. One of the students approached Lin and reproached him for his arrogance. According to him, Lin could not choose the room until Lo chose it. Zheng Daxiong followed Lin's example and also chose a number for himself. There was a commotion in the camp because of these abrupt actions. The main character didn't care about this and went to his room. The room was much more beautiful than his entire house in his past life. The young man decided to test the shadow system and activated it. The system has notified that it cannot boot at this time. She undergoes updates due to a change of residence. The next day, Lin went to a new school. There was only Liu in the class, who was waiting for the hero to arrive. Lin thought that all the students had decided to skip the first day of classes. Liu said that the first theoretical lessons were needed for those who suddenly awakened. Others finished with the theory before arriving here. The protagonist thought that he would learn the basics together with Liu. Teacher Li Bowen entered the classroom. Liu turned out to have known him in the past. After talking with the teacher, the girl left the class. No one came to this lesson for 4 years. Lin was not averse to studying with Bowen, who had close ties with Liu Nuojie's family. Suddenly, the teacher suggested that Lin change his place of study. A few minutes later, they found themselves on the roof of the academy. Bowen said that progress consists of black, silver, gold, and bright crystals. Having overcome all these levels, Lin will become a master of the energy flow. To overcome his limits, the hero must awaken important points. The awakened one can awaken 12 flow points in his body. Activating points on the feet and calves increases agility, while points on the palms provide strength. Awakening the point in the head sharpens thinking, reflexes, fortitude, and the 5 senses. Lin will only be able to activate the points after reaching the black crystal. The hero became interested in how these points could be awakened. The teacher said that you need to kill a lot of monsters and absorb their flow energy. In this life, Lin never encountered monsters. 3 days later, the principal gathered all the students. All the newbies pointed their fingers at Lin and shamed him. This was because the young man attended theoretical lessons every day. Hao's disciple was the most opposed to Lin. Unlike Lin, he and the other newcomers attended training with the director. Teacher Bowen suddenly appeared and reprimanded Hao. He announced that the next stage of classes would take place today. Today there will be a practice that everyone has been waiting for. All those present must divide into pairs. After this, they will go to different places to undergo practical training. Bowen ordered 10 monsters for each. Lin was happy because it would allow him to increase his level of progress. He immediately decided that he would take Liu Nuojie as his partner. However, Luo Jin was the first to propose a joint trial with the girl. Liu wanted Lin Yunmu to be by her side. She didn't know how to refuse Luo Jin. Lin approached her in time, offering himself as a partner. Ling Yunmu and Liu Nuojie's team headed to the ruins at number 7. The hero was curious why Liu didn't want to be on a team with Luo Jin. The girl considered Luo to be a person who put himself above others. If she had agreed, Lin would not have been able to find a mate. The hero's conversation was interrupted by the appearance of monsters. These were not dangerous low-level monsters. Liu knew that this group had a leader. She had no idea that he was now hiding behind her back. The heroes reacted in time and did not fall under the giant's attack. The girl was very frightened by such destructive power. According to the task, she and Lin need to kill this monster. Liu Nuojie collected her thoughts and pounced on him. She had enough strength to deal with the monster. Only when she got closer did she realize her attack wouldn't work. The monster was much higher level than the others. Fortunately, Lin Yunmu rushed to Liu's aid. With the first blow, he broke the giant's jaw. Liu's eyes filled with blood from fear. Lin supported her and declared her the best on their team. He felt embarrassed that just one mid-level monster had terrified her. He decided to take on this monster. Each of his blows caused significant damage to the giant. Lin's eyes were filled with blood, as if a devil had possessed him. Within a few seconds, the robot monster flew into the rock. Lin didn't think he was that strong. After these words, Liu looked at him with envy. Then the hero pretended that he was in pain after the fight with the monster. He didn't want to show himself to be the best in his team with Liu. Liu told him that she had known for a long time about his high defensive skills. The young man couldn't understand how she knew such information about him. Recently, Lin defeated a student with dark flow energy who was Liu's friend. Noji knows about her destructive power and saw how Lin was able to resist it. This proves that Lin is not a simple person. The hero did not hide it and admitted that he trains a lot. The conversation was interrupted when the team heard the sounds of another monster. The monsters planned to destroy all the students this evening. They were seriously scared when they saw their comrade and Lin fighting. First, Lin dealt with the weaker monster and destroyed the entire location. After that, he took on another monster. This was the last individual in this place. Lin's eyes filled with blood as he entered the fight. After the fight, Lin asked Liu if he could get her friend's dark energy. Liu began to trust the hero, and therefore decided to reveal the secret to him. The first way to obtain energy is through innate genetics. The second method requires killing monster kings of different levels. By absorbing their crystals, Lin will be able to obtain the dark energy of the flow. The kings always have a large number of monster servants around them. The authorities are hiding this information in order to preserve the lives of the powerful awakened. Meanwhile, Teacher Bowen was angry that the students couldn't handle the assignment. But suddenly he saw the first team that came out of the portal. It was the team of Lin Yunmu and Liu Nuojie. Bowen didn't expect that they would be the first to return. The teacher was interested in how the newcomers would cope with the 7th level. Suddenly, he immediately received a punch in the face from Lin. The main character didn't like the fact that among the lesser monsters, there were stronger monsters. In his opinion, many students could have been harmed in this location. The teacher decided that next time he would send Lina more mid-grade monsters. A couple of minutes later, Luo Jin's team emerged from the portal. Lo and Hao were confident that they had returned from the mission first. They didn't expect to see Lin and Liu in front of them. The protagonists believed that Hao had prevented Luo Jin from achieving victory. The best student in the city decided to listen to the words of the newcomer. He asked Liu how they managed to complete the task so quickly. The girl announced that the task had been completed thanks to Lin Yunmu's power. She didn't understand why Luo Jin was talking to her when he hated her. She knew he would say that he didn't believe in Lin Yunmu's achievements. Liu stood up for her comrade and announced that she had determined the monster's secrets in advance. Luo Jin didn't believe Liu's story. Comrade Zheng thought that Lin was simply lucky to be next to Liu. In his opinion, the hero passed the test thanks to the girl. However, Zheng himself did not believe in Lin's luck. For several months, the students underwent similar tests. With each fight, Lin became less and less interested. Now he has defeated all the level 17 monsters in the ruins. He can confidently say that he does not need outside help. The training is coming to an end, which means the hero is facing a ranking competition. During these 6 months, he was still unable to use the shadow system. The system hadn't been updated for 6 months, and Lin considered it useless. In the morning, the teacher gathered all the students again. This time he gathered them for a very important occasion. He announced that there would be an event to test their skills in a week. In a week, Heavenly Cloud Castle will stop in the Tianyun River area. Teams of 5 or 7 people will go outside and fight monsters by the river. Points will be awarded for monsters, which will determine students' grades. Cameras will be filming, and any city resident will be able to see the broadcast. The teacher advised everyone to buy armor, but Lin already had it. The protagonist decided that this time too, he would go on a team with Liu. The girl apologized and announced that she was already a member of Lo and Ho's team. Everyone believes that newcomers and previously awakened students should not be mixed. This will not bring any points to the group rating. The hero forgave Liu and went to look for the team. He had no idea at all who he could team up with. He prepared his father's uniform and set out to search. Suddenly Zheng called out to him and offered to join his team. Lin didn't understand why Zheng Doxiong invited him in particular. Without thinking twice, the young man agreed to the proposal. Zheng's team included the Jifeng family brothers, Li Shan and Lu Qiang. Zheng named the team Big Shang's squad and asked them to register. Their squad is missing at least one person. The next day, Lin was given 7,000 wen as an advance payment. The hero understands that he will not be able to buy armor with this money. He envied the rich students who could afford the best things. Lin told Zheng that he did not have money to buy a tent and transport. He announced that he could run hard and sleep on the ground. Zheng was touched because he didn't know the hero was so poor. He promised Lin to help with the whole squad. Having given the seller his card, he ordered him to sell Lin whatever he asked for. Lin purchased items worth more than 1 billion yuan. In addition, Zheng bought 2 combat vehicles and a tent for Lin. In total, he spent about 50 billion. Lin felt like Zheng's little son. Meanwhile, the Awakened Association was discussing Lin because of his poverty. The 2 rich guys had Liu Nuoji on their team and wanted to invite Lin as well. Suddenly, the hero's red car crashed into these students. One of them wanted to deal with the offender by force. When he saw Lin Yunmu, he immediately restrained his anger. Lin announced to the students that he planned to take part in the competition. The young men realized that the hero, who was only friends with Liu, had found a new team. Soon they heard that Zheng had arrived and called Lin to his place. He promised the hero that he would buy him a new car if there was something wrong with this one. Those students believed that Lin and the children of the rich would not be able to kill even one monster. Zheng said that he had already resolved the issue with the last member of the team. This man will arrive here soon. A couple of minutes later, he arrived on a motorcycle. The participants were embarrassed at the sight of him. It was Xuan, a high school student. Zheng was proud that the girl would be on his team. Qiang pounced on her with accusations, calling her his sister. No one could believe that the nerd and the best girl in school shared genes. Luojin reproached her for breaking the rules as a resident of another city. Shuang told everyone that she had already entered the local Jifeng Academy. She already has a black crystal of flow energy. Luojin heard about Shuang, that she studied under a flow master and mastered fighting skills. With this girl, Zheng's team has enough members. Xuan admitted that she came here to take care of her brother. Currently, Chang is in last place in the rankings. Shuang met the participants and noticed that Lin was different from the others. A week later, the city of Tianyun landed successfully. The floodgates opened and the students were ready for battle. Each team had an expensive fighting vehicle. Spectators watched the events with hope through outdoor screens. Meanwhile, Lin's father was recovering from the amputation of his legs. He believed that his son would be able to create a good future for himself. Luojin's comrades tried to get ahead of the other participants. They saw a safe place near the river on the map and decided to take a rest there. All the way, Liu worried about Yunmu. Suddenly, another car caught up with this team. Hao thought his car was much faster than other cars. He modified it himself. In his haste, he hit a bump and the car stopped. Another car pulled ahead. Hao couldn't believe it was the same team. The conversation was about Zheng and his companions. This team reached the river and made a stop. Yunmu was worried that they hadn't decided where to go next. Xuan didn't care, because she could handle a monster of any complexity. Zheng believed that there was no need to rush, because Jin's team was much stronger. Yunmu took charge and chose the next stop. Shan declared that this place was a demonic zone. Qiang also added that these are the most dangerous monsters on the riverbank. If you meet one monster, it will seem too weak. According to Shuang, monsters live together and have a special hatred for people. They always attack in groups. If they surround you, there won't be a single living place left on the person. Lina Yunmu was alarmed by this brief description of the monsters. Chen suggested going to that place and collecting all the victory points. He is confident that other teams will stay away from the zone. Shan and Chang were against it, but Ling decided to entrust his life to Shuang. The girl was not averse to hunting dangerous monsters. The Jifeng brothers were scared and asked Zheng to leave them here. The car stopped, and Zheng ordered all participants to put on their gear. Cyan had the devourer form and the flywheel, and Shan took out the life-taking sword. Shuang simply put on warrior clothes. When Yunmu put on the armor, everyone was alarmed. Zheng declared that this form could not be bought for any amount of money. He himself had inexpensive executioner armor and a high-velocity cannon. Yunmu didn't know his father's armor was so good. Suddenly, Xuan heard something approaching them. The team members rushed to find shelter. Shuang asked Zheng to report the situation. Using the scope, Zheng saw the desired target. There were 2 demons patrolling the area. There were no other monsters near them. The protagonist and Zheng Daxiong prepared for action. They distracted the attention of one of the demons. They threw a special candy at him. This candy pierced the demon's head. She must deal with the remaining demon. He prepared his sword and pounced on the mutant. At the moment of murder, his eyes were filled with devilish blood. Meanwhile, the Union of Musicians observed the actions of Big Xiong's team. Thanks to them, the city of Happy Wind made it into the list of the 70 best teams. The Union workers did not understand how these participants had gotten ahead. They saw Chang running from a crowd of monsters. The youth was attracting their attention so that Lin Yunmu could kill them. The hero killed one of the demons in a second. Then he waited for the rest of the monsters to gather together. He knew he wouldn't lose this fight. His weapon blew off demon heads every split second. Lin found these monsters too weak. Some individuals escaped his attack. They joined forces and attacked the hero from behind. Lin didn't expect that they were able to dodge his sword. His teammates scolded him for not concentrating during the attack. They stood nearby and were ready to support Yunmu. Zheng and Shuang fired, but one monster remained alive. He started running back to his tribe. Yunmu was told to detain him because he might tell other monsters about them. Shan asked the hero to give this monster to him. For this occasion, he had a life-eater flywheel. Shan's weapon pierced the demon through and through. In this battle, the heroes killed 30 monsters. They managed to earn a considerable number of points. Zheng asked Chang to attract the next flock of demons. The young man refused, and then Zheng suggested that he stand in the attack line. Xiao immediately agreed to be the bait for the 5th time. Xuan sat down abruptly by the tree and thought. From her comrade's stories, she remembered that Lin Yunmu had awakened less than a year ago. In fact, Yunmu woke up a few days before the test. Shuang found it strange that Lin had developed such strength in such a short time. Zheng admitted this, and said that this was why he invited Yunmu to the team. Suddenly, a frightened Chang came running to Zheng and Shuang. Behind him was a group of armed monsters. Chang was afraid that his friends would not save him. Shan announced to everyone that the head of the demon tribe had arrived. By evening, the participants managed to escape from these monsters. They achieved a good result today. The main source of income for the team was Yunmu, who killed 230 individuals. Shuang defeated 90 monsters and brought in 30% of the income. Lin Yunmu said that Shuang could have surpassed him in results if she hadn't covered him. Xuan realized that the hero was deliberately shifting all the credit onto her. Suddenly, the team leader noticed that Chang had become despondent. Qian felt bad that he had risked himself all day and only received 5 points. Shan reassured his brother by saying that he had earned much less than 5 points. Shuang felt sorry for Chang and gave him her points. Yunmu didn't know that you could give points to other participants in the competition. He decided to give his points to Shan. He considered it a friendly gesture to his teammate. For this duel, the hero received several crystals. Later, he returned to the room and examined the award. According to Shuang, monster crystals only retain their properties for half a day. After returning, Yunmu wanted to work on activating the points. It was too nerve-wracking for him to choose a spot for the first time. There were too many dots, and Lin didn't know where to start. Earlier, Bowen advised him to first activate the head point. It can be quickly developed using the power of thought. The hero took out the crystal and chose the first point. Having broken the crystal, he felt energy throughout his body. The flow of energy moved to the hero's head. Lin immediately felt sick from this. 5 crystals lit only 70% of the holy point. Lin thought he could activate the point with just 1 crystal. Suddenly, he received a notification that the shadow system had been updated. Yunmu hadn't seen his assistant for a long time. His shadow appeared, also wearing a warrior costume. Lin realized that the assistant would automatically acquire his equipment. The system notified Lin that the shadow's intelligence level had increased due to the activation of the point. Now the hero can control the shadow with the power of thought. He decided to try this update. He racked his brains and, losing consciousness, fell to the floor. A second later, he saw himself from the outside. His soul moved into the body of a shadow. Lin Yunmu realized that this was how the system's new function worked. He decided it was time for a night of fun. He was afraid that Big Xiong would notice him. The hero fought monsters all night alone. He absorbed the energy of the crystals and simultaneously entered into battle. He needs to develop other points in the near future. During the night battle, he found an artifact that was guarded by demons. All the participants woke up and Jung told them to go monster hunting. Chiang told his brother that he would activate 80% of the point on his palm overnight. Shan was only able to light up 70% of the point on his foot. The brothers were curious to see how many dots Lin Yunmu had lit. He admitted that he had lit 70% of the holy point. The brothers laughed because their data was higher than Lin's. In the following days, the heroes fought continuously and learned to understand each other. Every night, Yunmu secretly trained in his shadow body. He was able to ignite 4 points in his body and double his strength. Meanwhile, one important gentleman summoned his subordinate. He informed him that radical changes had taken place in the city of Happy Wind. The master ordered his subordinate to gather information about the guy with red hair. He said that Yunmu's team had beaten Luo Jin's team, which they had placed their hopes on. The gentleman was sorry that the Happy Wind City team was not to his liking. Talents he cannot use will become a threat to him in the future. He allowed himself to think that the death of several students would make his life easier. Meanwhile, Dasun's team chose the Shaman tribe for the next attack. In this tribe, there is an elder who knows how to tame wild animals. Heroes will receive more points for it than for small monsters. Over the entire period, participants were able to increase their progress. Now it's time for them to try killing stronger monsters. Yunmu didn't agree with this, but Shuang needed to find the black crystals. She had previously sacrificed herself and given her loot to the team. The participants went into battle and sent Shan to lure the monster. Zheng didn't worry about him, as Shan had already activated the lake point on his palm. His fighting skills are now on par with Zheng's. A few minutes later, the monster attacked Shan. The hero was suddenly overcome with fear, and his whole body was paralyzed. However, he found the strength in himself and inflicted damage on the shaman. With one blow, he cut off his hand. Shan asked his friends to take on this monster. Yunmu announced that the team would kill the shaman with a joint effort. Suddenly, someone else hit the monster. Other demons began to come to this place. All this time, the other participants were watching the actions of Big Xiang's team. They pounced on the team and announced that they would take all the points for themselves. Even the monsters didn't understand what happened between people. The second team destroyed the main shaman here. It was unclear where these participants came from. Yunmu was informed that these young men were from a team from another district. They came here specifically to collect their team's points. The group's results are so high that other students are already applying for them. Zheng asked his comrades not to conflict with them and just leave. He saw no point in dealing with them. Because of this, those students considered Zheng's team members to be cowardly. They asked Dasun to have his friends fight them. They themselves provoked this fight. Zheng Daxiang was the first to be attacked by these participants. He reacted in time and inflicted damage on one young man. Zheng ordered these people to get out of their territory. He threatened that after the fight they might not return to their team. Suddenly, everyone present noticed that a bright beam shot up into the sky. This beam flew several tens of meters and exploded in a bright flash. Zheng realized that it was a signal flare. He ordered his comrades to run to a safe place. No one moved from their place because of fear. A huge monster appeared above Dasun. Zheng ran a few meters and the monster lost him. The monster then targeted the prone member of the other team. The young man was afraid because of the awareness of approaching death. A dog-like monster attacked him and injured his shoulder. Big Xiang's team wanted to save the boy. The monster continued to beat the pathetic participant. The second young man rushed to help his friend. The demon's hand alone was as big as his body. The monster grabbed the young man and pressed him into the ground. After that, he targeted Zheng, and the leader ordered the team to run away. Chiang wanted to save those two, but Yunmu saw no point in it. Zheng took out his weapon to attack the giant. He distracted the monster while his team ran to the car. The giant summoned a small monster, and together they surrounded Xiang's team. The main character managed to escape from them with difficulty. Zheng declared that this was the demon elder. The heroes accidentally fell into the trap of his assistants. According to Das Yun, that fire was a signal that they had entered an encirclement ring. The elder waited until the participants were caught in the rings to destroy them all at once. Monsters awaited the heroes at every corner. Several dog-like monsters appeared on the battlefield at once. Zheng's team didn't know where they should run. The elder shaman was angry at the people because of the death of his fellow tribesmen. He promised to kill every person here. This was the first time Lin Yunmu saw a monster that could speak human language. The elder was considered the smartest demon of all the tribes. Yunmu didn't believe these words, and the monster rushed at him to prove them. Giant, ugly dogs rushed to his support. The elder ordered them to tear every person into pieces. Only Xuan can break through the encirclement with his skills. Yunmu asked her to run to the car and take the team away from the encirclement. He wasn't sure the heroes would be able to hold out until she arrived. Yunmu decided to wait for Shuang's return by any means necessary. He had a weapon prepared for this occasion. Lin Yunmu grabbed his sword and rushed towards the demons. He cut down several of the creatures and cleared the way for Shuang. The protagonist's actions were so fast that it seemed as if he was standing still. Blow after blow, Lin killed the approaching individuals. The passage of Shuang was free. The girl prayed to God that her friends would hold out until she arrived. She didn't notice how a giant dog crept up on her. Shan rushed to her aid, diverting the monster's attention to himself. Because of this, the young man suffered serious damage. He asked Xuan to bring the car to them quickly. If she doesn't make it in time, none of the group will survive. After these words, the young man rushed into the attack. He folded 2 swords into a cross, and this helped him fight off the monsters. His actions attracted the attention of more powerful monsters. Tsang rushed to help his brother. He defeated several monsters and didn't notice how another one was attacking him. At that very second, the monster's body was pierced through and through. Tsang didn't understand who did it. It was Zheng Daxiang who helped his companion. He shot the monster and tore off its limb. Meanwhile, the main character also fought demons. He killed each of them with ease. Lin Yunmu was excellent at dealing with demons of various levels. He could kill any monster except the Elder. The number of demons is growing, and Lin Yunmu is worried about it. He fears that his team will not last until Shuang returns. Suddenly, the giant monster grabbed Shan and dragged him along. There was real fear in the hero's eyes. The monster spun Shan around and threw him aside. The heroes were no longer able to resist him. Lin Yunmu needs to come up with something quickly and save everyone. The main danger now is the devil dogs. They are controlled by the demon elder Ayu. In this case, the main character needs to start with the main demon. He prepared his weapon and went on the attack. He immediately identified the elder, who was distinguished by his outward appearance. The demon elder did not expect that the attack would be directed specifically at him. He begged for mercy, but Lin Yunmu was cruel to him. Then the elder asked his assistants to save him. He believed that they were obliged to protect him and should not leave him. Suddenly the dogs stopped abruptly. They rushed to attack on the orders of the elder. The main character, Lin Yunmu, stood in their way. The dogs threw him aside and stood up to defend the elder. The main character understands that he will have to fight 3 individuals at once. He will have to use all his strength at full capacity. At that moment his eyes became covered in devilish blood. Lin Yunmu screamed throughout the entire area, and a special power erupted from his body. His friends couldn't understand how he was able to block 3 devil dogs at once. They had never seen such power from him before. Lin Yunmu went into a trance. He no longer saw anyone but the enemy. Zheng didn't believe that Lin had so easily entered the trance of the holy warrior that legends speak of. However, he realized that Yunmu was definitely hiding some secrets from the team. The demon elder was surprised that this boy attacked his dogs. Now Lin Yunmu set his sights on the elder himself. On his way to the demon leader, he killed all the monsters. Suddenly, the demon elder noticed another person. It was Lady Xuan. She fired her powerful weapon at the demon. Even the smartest demons couldn't hide from her shots. Meanwhile, Big Xiong saved Shan. Sister Shuang drove the car up to them. Zheng ordered the team to get into the car immediately. Lin Yunmu didn't hear him because he was busy hunting dogs. From the outside, it seemed that his condition was too bad. The Riflemen's Union immediately released footage from the scene of Lin Yunmu's fight. The workers immediately passed this information on to the holy warrior. Meanwhile, the main character was resting after a difficult battle. Tsang tried to reproach him for his terrible condition. Lin explained that he simply felt his body fill with power. At that moment, he couldn't suppress the desire to fight. He didn't even know that he looked too scary from the outside. Zheng announced that the team had earned 30 regular crystals and 2 black ones in one day. He was proud that Lin Yunmu saved everyone's lives. Zheng wanted to give all the spoils to him. The main character didn't want to take all the loot from his friends. The brothers gave Lin their loot as a token of gratitude for saving him. Lin rose wearily from the ground and whispered that he was not ready to accept this reward. According to him, this time everyone tried their best, so the spoils should be divided equally. He explained that today he was simply trying his best to save his friends. After this hard day, Lin Yunmu took a hot shower. The system congratulated him on receiving the award. According to her, the owner did a good job in the battles today. Lin's reward was Waidu's magic box. The box gives prizes in a lottery, and you can get weapons and skills from it. The protagonist put everything aside and began to examine the gift. He was eager to try the box for the first time. He was curious what he would pull out today. The box sparked, but nothing happened. Then it seemed to the young man that some mistake had occurred. There was not a single object around him. He was angry at the box for giving him air. However, the system congratulated the owner for pulling out a cool skill. The talk was about a Class A combat skill called leg spin. Lin Yunmu was overjoyed and spent all his inner strength to learn this skill. At that moment, The space around him immediately acquired magical energy. The protagonist knew that from that day on, his life would change completely. Within a minute, the leg rotation skill was successfully mastered by Lin Yunmu. He can't wait to use this power. That night, the demons did not close their eyes. Lin's shadow actively attacked the demons. For her, this was not a battle, but a regular training session. All of the shadow's actions were the same as Lin Yunmu's. She killed about 100 demons that night. The demonic individuals did not expect that even at night people would hunt them. Now Lin Yunmu and his shadow can use double kick. At that time, a stranger crept up to Lin's tent. This man realized that Lin looked like the man in the photo. The man carefully apologized for his bad intentions. In his opinion, the young man is preventing other students from achieving results. He was ready to kill Lin here and now. Meanwhile, Shadow finished training a new skill. Suddenly she received a message that the owner's body was in danger. The Shadow asked the system to abruptly return her to her body. At this moment, the stranger had already taken a swing at Lin. The Shadow returned to the hero's body, and Lin Yunmu opened his eyes. A second later, an explosion occurred in the tent. Thanks to the new skill, the hero flew safely to the side. His new leg spin skill kept him alive. Lin quickly realized that he was in danger. The opponent couldn't believe that he had dodged his blow with his legs. He praised Yunmu for her high level of vigilance. It was important for the main character to find out who attacked him. But the killer did not want to reveal himself. The only thing he thought was important was that Lin Yunmu would die today. He suddenly attacked the main character. Lin Yunmu managed to activate the system and take out his weapon. The attacking opponent quickly blocked his actions. The young man had to dodge his attacks. Because of this, he was unable to properly grasp the weapon. The hero noticed a golden glow on his opponent. This man uses the energy of golden crystals. It was unclear why a person of such caliber would come after Lin Yunmu. After a short conversation, the stranger attacked the hero. Yunmu didn't have time to react and took damage. After this, the killer threw the young man into the distance with a blow. Lin Yunmu flew up and broke through the ceiling of the tent. He was in a miserable position because he had no weapon in his hands. Without a weapon, he poses no threat to his opponent. In a fight with an experienced man, he could only rely on his skills. The stranger quickly activated a burst of energy. With her help, he flew up and found himself above Lin. Fortunately, help had already arrived for the hero. Armed Shuang could not allow Yunmu to die. The protagonist noticed her appearance and calmed down. A weapon flew over his eyes. This sword belonged to Shuang. The main character managed to grab him. He was grateful to Shuang for her help. The stranger did not expect the victim to find a weapon. From this moment on, a real fight began between the opponents. Shuang didn't know how else to help her comrade. The enemy realized that Lin Yunmu with a weapon was a threat to him. The protagonist decided it was his turn to deal damage. The stranger's main skill was perfect manual dexterity. Using his hands, he could easily repel Yunmu's attacks. The hero did not know how to achieve victory. The stranger's strength was comparable to that of a demon elder. Lin was lucky that the demons had not yet arrived at the noise of the struggle. The opponent was frightened by the young man's perfect command of the sword. He also noticed that Lin had developed a multi-layered weapon attack. However, this did not help Yunmu get closer to the end of the battle. The stranger easily parried all of Lin's blows with his hand. He reproached Yunmu for lacking momentum when striking. The hero was confident that he would win even without a dash. In the next attack, he used his leg skills. The opponent admitted that Lin Yunmu is talented. He said that the hero was interfering with their business. Yunmu didn't understand how he was connected to this. The stranger decided to end the battle with a final attack. He is ready to kill Lin right now. He released a fiery beast from himself and directed it at Lin. Yunmu received a slight burn from the flames flying at him. He had his own maneuver for this attack. He laughed, and this confused his opponent. From the outside, Lin seemed like a man who was simply waiting for death. Suddenly, his sword became covered in icy energy. The system notified the owner that the sword techniques had reached a new level. Lin announced with a grin that his strength and that of his opponent were equal. He is ready to withstand the attack of the fire dragon. The killer did not expect such an outcome of the battle. He thought that the fire would kill Yunmu, but the hero thought otherwise. Lin grabbed his sword and rushed straight into the dragon's mouth. At that moment, he activated ice energy. The ice destroyed the fire in a second. The enemy realized that he had lost the battle. Lin's final attack severed his arm. Yunmu promised that next time he would take his life. Due to severe pain, the man fell to the ground and forgot about the fight. He promised Yunmu that he would kill him. The loss of his arm won't hinder him in any way. The protagonist invited him to continue. But he hinted that in this case, the killer would lose a lot of blood and die. The opponent started to run, but remembered this insult to Lina. The victory was the protagonist's. Xuan wanted to examine him for wounds, but suddenly Lin fell to the ground. Xuan brought him to his senses and raised him to his feet. Yunmu explained that he was completely fine. Looking at his bloody hands, he thanked his friend for her help. If she hadn't come, Lin would have definitely died. Zheng arrived and announced strange circumstances. At night, someone knocked out patrolmen Chang and Shan, but did not kill them. Daxiong concluded that this man only needed Yunmu. Shuang concluded that their team was interfering with influential people. Shan believed that the assassins could have also attacked the strong Shuang. The girl said that no one would dare to mess with her famous family. Besides this, Shuan's mentor is the saint himself. Lin was afraid that everyone would think of him as a weakling without origins. He promised himself that he would take revenge on those dangerous people. Zheng decided that the team would rest for these days and wait for Yunmu's recovery. The protagonist wanted to continue because they needed to win the competition. The team has only recently broken into the top positions of the rankings. Zheng believed that Yunmu's life was more important than the results. Lin asked his comrades to leave him alone. He had unfinished business with the killers. He took the enemy's blood and scanned it with the system. The system has identified the source of the blood. But Lin didn't get the information he needed. Zheng suddenly approached him and caught him talking to the system. The protagonist realized that he had been exposed. He managed with difficulty to change the subject of conversation and divert suspicion from himself. At that moment, chi energy flew into his hand. The energy passed through the entire body and reached the required points. The hero was grateful to his shadow for this. She's been killing monsters for him for the last 2 days for the crystals. Lin wants to create armor from crystals, but now she is afraid to use the system. At home, the system informed the owner that his experience amounted to 10,000 points. She offered to exchange glasses for the creation of a second shadow. All this time, Lin Yunmu had only had 1 shadow. However, if he has 2 shadows, the result will double. The young man immediately agreed with this idea. The process of creating the second shadow has begun. Lin lost quite a lot of energy when creating the assistant. From this moment on, the hero's life will change for the better. His new shadow is very different from the first one in color and shape. Now the young man needs to come up with names for the 2 shadows. He named them by their corresponding numbers. The shadows didn't like these names, but Lin didn't care. Yunmu heard a knock on the door and hid his assistance. He was angry that someone had prevented him from meeting the shadow. That person was Sister Shuang. She reported that strong players, including Jin's team, were attacked by killers. As a result, Luo Jin was seriously injured, and the other participants received a few scratches. The Riflemen's Union has volunteered to investigate the incident. The union promised that the instigator and his city would be severely punished. Lina was only worried about why Shuang didn't go to morning training. The girl became embarrassed and yelled at the hero. She said that over the past few days, she had seen a wonderful man in Yunmu. Today, she skipped training to meet him. The young man realized that Shuan had fallen in love with him. The girl admitted that she hid her desires from the first day. She grabbed Lin's hand and declared that she would not accept his refusal. The protagonist realized that now she would propose to him to start a relationship. Shuan suddenly voiced that she wanted to take lessons from him. She wants to learn swordsmanship techniques. The heroine suggested that Lin have a training fight with each other. Yunmu came to his senses and prepared to defend himself. He felt awkward because he had expected a different outcome from the conversation. Shuan announced the start of the battle and activated the energy. Each of her blows was quick and accurate. Lin did not see Shuang's weaknesses and was therefore afraid of being defeated, and his movements seemed quick and precise to the girl. To gain victory, Lin activated the Mad Sword. Shuang had never seen such strength. Yunmu showed her the return to the start kick. He suggested that she try this attack. At that moment, the sword energy flew towards Shuang. The heroine was upset that she could not win. She lost her vigilance and a new attack was flying towards her. Shuang reacted and the hero's swords intertwined into one. She understands that it won't be long before she loses. The girl started running to win against Lin in the distance. If she continues to fight, it will only help Lin land more hits. Shuang wanted to understand the young man's technique as soon as possible. While she was pondering his blows, a sword approached her. This was a new stage of the hero's attack. He captured Shuang and announced the 4th stage. He divided all his attacks and approaches to the result into 5 stages. There was only 1 hit left to win, but suddenly Lin stopped. Shuang gripped his sword, and blood began to flow from her hand. The girl announced that she would kill Lin in just 1 attempt. At that moment, her sword appeared next to the hero's neck. A tired voice was heard that there was a winner. Lin didn't expect to lose to her friend so easily. This battle took all her strength. However, Shuang proudly announced that she had won. The protagonist laughed and called her crazy. After this training, they returned to camp. Zheng noticed Shuang's wound and inquired about her. The girl announced that she had simply scratched herself during training. Zheng said that today the team went to the territory of the demon tribe. After the last battle, the demons became much more vigilant. Even if Yunmu's wounds have healed, the team has no chance of attacking the demons in the same way as before. But today, some cool information reached Dasun, and he came up with a new strategy. He will need Shuang's help in the fight against the demons. The girl didn't understand what was being discussed. A new day dawned at the camp. The assistants informed Zheng that all the things had already been loaded into the car. The team will leave for the mission as soon as Xuan is ready. The heroine must be dressed sexy, but she doesn't know why. Daxiong believed that this military tactic would definitely work. Xuana didn't want to be used as bait. She realized that she would have to seduce the demon elder. Zheng asked her to calm down for the sake of the entire team. Lin Yunmu was also against using Shuang. Zheng said that in the morning he came across an elder who was giving orders to the demons. This elder wanted the most beautiful girl to be brought to him. When Zheng heard this, he came up with a new military tactic. According to this plan, the elder will let down his guard and be killed by the players. The team began to put the plan into action. Shuang and Sheng noticed two patrolling demons. Zheng announced that these two would definitely take Shuang captive. All this time, the team will follow the girl to help her. As a result, the elder will be killed, and his entire tribe will be trapped. The heroes sent Xuan, who was immediately noticed by the demons. The girl ran past them as if she didn't notice. Zheng ran after her, and Shuang asked for help. Daxin played the role of a killer maniac perfectly. In fact, Xuan was sick of playing the victim of a maniac. Suddenly, Zheng stumbled and twisted his leg. It was at this moment that the demons followed the girl. The young man rose from the ground, but did not continue moving. He was upset that he fell at such a crucial moment. The pain made him look like the most beautiful girl. One of the demons noticed this facial expression. The demons grabbed Zheng and carried him to the elder. The leader's plan didn't work. None of the team understood what had happened. They never thought that they would lose Zheng instead of Shuang. Zheng asked the brothers Shan and Chang and Yunmu for help. The young men abandoned Shuang and hurried to Daxiong. Xian was afraid that the plan had not worked, and Zheng was now in enemy captivity. Lin Yunmu calmed everyone down and announced that they would save Xiong. He knew that Shuang could enter Zheng's network and track him. The girl quickly found the exact location of the leader. In fact, only the bait has changed in the plan. The heroes need to continue to act on it. Meanwhile, in the cave, the demons rejoiced at their prey. Zheng was handcuffed to the wall. He was dressed in women's clothing. The elder was informed that the girl was ready. The chief demon asked his subordinates to leave him alone with the girl. The perverted demon carefully prepared for the date. Meanwhile, Shuang had located the elder's cave. Lin began clearing the way to her. Shuang asked Yunmu to hurry because Zheng's coordinates were not moving. Lin thinks that Dasun has already been delivered to the king. He asked the other members to keep up with the group. Within a minute, Zheng's team moved out to rescue him. In the cave, Zheng pushed the demon king away from him. He understands that this cannot last forever. However, Dasun's character and inaccessibility only pleased the king. He wanted to start the process of love as soon as possible. He proposed one love game to Zheng. The young man felt sick from looking at the elder's face. Dason's team was already rushing to help. Yunmu and the other members were already inside the cave. The protagonist took on the role of leader. He stopped the team abruptly at the turn. Around the corner, a trap in the form of guards awaited the heroes. They definitely can't engage in battle with demons here. Yunmu began to look for another way. He noticed a ventilation hole on the ceiling of the cave. The ideal path has been found. At that time, the elder released Zheng for the sake of the game. They have to play catch-up. Sheng must not fall into the hands of a pervert. The king really enjoys the victim's resistance. He announced the start of the game and ran after Zheng. However, the hero continued to stand still. He was waiting for the moment to attack the king. The demon did not expect such power from the beauty. Daxiong survived the attack despite being handcuffed. He kicked the demon and stopped the game. The king almost lost consciousness from pain. Zheng, in the role of a girl, continued to surprise the old man. Then the elder realized that something was wrong here. A minute later, he was bound by Zheng's chain. The young man announced the end of the game. The king demanded that the game continue. He pushed Zheng aside and bought time. The demon managed to prepare a weapon to fight the beauty. He understood that the girl wanted to escape from captivity. He wanted to keep her by any means necessary. Zheng's team was already close. Lin Yunmu was the first to attack the Demon King. Zheng thanked his comrade for his speed. If the team hadn't made it in time, Daxiong would have been tortured. The real fight against the Demon King has just begun. The demon realized that people had deceived him. According to him, that beauty was just a trap. Jin exposed his body and admitted that he had never been a girl. The king felt awkward realizing this. He got angry and released energy from himself. Black, frightening threads scattered throughout the entire location. Even the experienced Lin Yunmu was afraid of the unknown. He didn't know what to expect from the demon elder. The demon wanted to take revenge on people for the evil joke. A vortex funnel appeared in its place. There was an explosion, and the cave disappeared. The heroes barely managed to stay on their feet during the explosion. Lin Yunmu was surprised by such destructive power. Suddenly he saw a rock in front of him with a demon on it. The king was transformed and his face became terrifying. A warning about blood energy has appeared on broadcast channels. Lin came too, but none of his comrades were nearby. The demon has entered the level of a spell of extreme magnitude. This was immediately reported to the chairman of the union. The chairman was afraid that such magic would kill all the participants. He informed everyone that he was stopping the competition and bringing the participants back. Meanwhile, the demon came down from the mountain to Lin. Just one gesture made the hero worry. The demon pointed to the stone, and it lit up. A golden wave flew into the king's hand. The demon has become much stronger. Yunmu also noticed that the king's strength had changed. The demon now has a weapon covered in fire. The main character was sure that he would not be able to defeat him. He was scared ever since the black threads appeared. Now his life is threatened by fire and invincible force. The hero's body could not move due to the feeling of fear. Lin Yunmu didn't know how to win. Suddenly, Xuan came running to his aid and saved him from the fire explosion. She hit him to bring Lin to his senses. After that, she grabbed the weapon. She was ready to defeat the demon instead of Lin. Yunmu couldn't sacrifice Xuan and wanted to rush to her aid. First, he wanted to bring Shan and Chang to their senses. However, the brothers were unconscious and did not respond to his actions. Xuan took serious damage due to his team's poor positioning. In this fight, Lin seemed like a typical weakling. He saw that Xuan did not have the strength to defeat the Demon King. The king announced to the people that the beautiful girl would die right there. Lin tried to make his body move, but there was no result. The demon had only one blow left until victory. The main character realized that he had let down the entire team. Suddenly he noticed that the system was working. The demon's dagger was already above Shuang's head. The system activated Lina's leg skills. The young man flew up and struck the demon in the back of the head. From this blow, the king flew into a rocky mountain. Lin tried to help Shuang get up, but the girl got angry at him. She reproached him for his fear and trembling knees. Lin admitted his guilt, but tried to justify himself with the terrible appearance of the demon. He said he was able to overcome himself with the help of a knife in his leg. The hero simply made the blood speed up and make the body work. He suggested that Xuan run because a car was flying towards them. It was Zheng who ordered the team to retreat. He thought they had lost this time. Xuan didn't want to leave without her brothers. When she went out to search, she was stopped by the appearance of a demon. He was unhappy that Lin had not taken the chance to escape. He wanted to take revenge on him for that heavy blow. The protagonist was afraid that fear would paralyze him again. The demon intended to kill Yunmu. He picked up speed and rushed at Lin. Lin and his friends did not move. The demon rushed into the sky, armed himself and covered himself in fire. Immediately, black clouds appeared. Lightning and thunder were heard. Lin realized that this battle with the demon had gone too far. He sharply called everyone to run to the car. However, the participants did not make it in time because an explosion occurred. The demon descended from the heavens and cordoned off the area around Lin. Xuan was worried about her brothers who were inside the zone. Suddenly, the demons were thrown out of that territory by Chang and Shan. The only thing that mattered to him was to deal with Lin Yunmu. Xuan grabbed the brothers, who were unconscious, and carried them to the car. Zheng started the car, but the girl didn't want to go without Yunmu. The leader explained that they could not stay, or they would die. Xuan felt that they couldn't do this to Yunmu. Zheng asked to entrust the hero's life to miracle and fate. Suddenly, Xuan felt that a miracle had happened. Zheng calmed her down and said that Yunmu had come out, but he was too scary. The girl was worried about her friend's condition. The enraged Yunmu asked his comrades to wait for him. Zheng pretended not to notice him. Xuan demanded that he stop the car. Zheng put Yunmu in the car and thanked him for the speed of the battle. He admitted that he already thought he was dead. Xuan was curious about how Lin managed to escape from the king. The young man said that the demon becomes strong only in a special territory. Lin fled the area and ran after the car. Friends didn't know what Lina had survived. A little earlier, he entered the trance of the holy warrior. In this state, Yunmu withstood all the blows of the Demon King. The demon was proud that the young man entered into battle with him for the sake of his friends. However, personal resentment was stronger than pride. The demon did not spare Lin in his attacks and threw him against all the rocks. He announced that Yunmu would never see his friends again. Lin himself thought that his friends had abandoned him long ago. Zheng and his team had no idea how terrible the battle was. Suddenly, Lin called the demon to him to show him something interesting. At that moment, he activated the shadow system. The hero can defeat the monster while sitting near the stone. 2 shadows will do all the work for him. It was the first time Yunmu had seen 2 shadows fight at once. The shadows grew in size and became covered with devilish energy. The Demon King couldn't understand what kind of creatures these were. Lin admitted that he had been waiting for his friends to leave for a long time. He didn't want to show the shadows to them. After this confession, he ordered his assistants to kill the king. The second shadow pounced on the demon. The demon managed to react and increase the distance to the shadows. He realized that Lin Yunmu was also some kind of monster. The king tried to think of a maneuver to avoid the shadow's attack. Lin Yunmu announced that he had another shadow. The demon completely lost faith in his victory. A second later, a blue shadow attacked him. Green blood poured from the demon's body. Yunmu didn't even move in this battle. He got up and decided to go to his friends. The beaten Demon King asked him to stay. Lin confused him by declaring his reluctance to kill him. The demon got into a fighting stance and called out to Lin. Yunmu saw no point in fighting because he knew he wouldn't win. All these little battles were only the desire of the demon. Yunmu doesn't want to take part in them and risk himself. Lin left the battlefield, leaving all his secrets there. Before leaving, he ordered the shadows to beat up the Demon King. Lin's comrades don't even suspect what happened in the battle. On the road, the hero noticed that Xuan was feeling unwell. Lin considered himself guilty, but the girl did not take offense at him. Xuan believed that an ordinary person would have long since lost consciousness from fear. Zheng confirmed her words and cited Chang and Shan as an example. According to him, the brothers have a normal reaction to a king-level monster. Suddenly, Lin received a message from the system. The hero realized that the shadows had finished the fight, and the king was now dead. However, everything was different. The system reported that both of Lin's shadows were dead. Lin didn't think the shadows would die. The system offered him to resurrect them with the help of reason. This will allow the shadows to gain intelligence and increase their technique. Resurrection cost 2,000 points, but Lin agreed to spend them. At this moment, the participants heard a message about the appearance of the Monster King. Because of this, the Riflemen's Union stopped the competition and ordered the participants to return. Zheng felt hurt that no one would appreciate their efforts. He decided to consult with the main character. But Lin Yunmu fell asleep after a hard battle. Meanwhile, the king was proud of killing the shadows. While he was resting, he again felt threatened. There was a flash that almost blinded the demon. The hero's blue shadow appeared on the battlefield again. The Demon King didn't understand why this happened. He needs to gather his strength to continue the fight. Lina's shadow declared that it was difficult to get rid of. The demon looked at her and saw Yunmu's appearance. He realized that the enemy was inside the shadow. Shadow can now reason logically during any attack. The demon didn't have time to react before the shadow threw him towards the stones. With each blow, the king becomes weaker and weaker. He decides to cast a spell to increase his strength. First, he distracted the shadow's attention. Lin's assistant realized that magic was about to be summoned. But instead of the previous trick, a huge magical seal appeared. Thanks to her, the demon regained all his strength. The first shadow concluded that the seal was a source of power. Shadow needs to figure out a way to destroy the seal. The demon was ready to kill Lin's assistant again. He pounced on the shadow and activated the weapon. However, the shadow dodged and the king hit the ground. The demon wanted to kill the enemy with the first blow. Suddenly, he received a kick to the head. It was Lina's leg rotation skill. After the attack, the shadow flew a long distance. She regained her strength and attacked the demon again. In one of the blows, the king grabbed the shadow youth by the leg. The assistant was afraid that he would be killed a second time. The demon didn't like his kicks. He decided to break the stick's legs by throwing it into the rock. The shadow dodged the obstacle in flight and surprised its opponent. The young man flew straight into the center of the magic seal. The Demon King realized that the seal would now be destroyed. The hero picked it up and smashed it on the ground. The demon didn't believe that anyone could see his magic. Shadow continued to break the seal into small pieces. The Demon King didn't know what to do in this situation. They will never forgive Lina for this. He became enraged and threw himself into the sky. His strength is still stronger than that of Assistant Lin. The shadow prevents the demon from attacking. She wants to kill him with one blow. This blow must be dealt now, while the demon is confused. He flew up in preparation for the final attack. The king noticed this and fled to a safe place. He decided to strike the shadow with all his remaining strength. Lin's assistant reminded his opponent that there was another shadow. The second's purple shadow immediately appeared behind the demon. The second quickly attacked the king, and he did not have time to realize the threat. The first shadow rushed to the aid of its companion. Due to the continuous stream of attacks, the demon cannot go on the offensive. In his opinion, the shadows recognized his weaknesses. The king of monsters realized that this time Lin would succeed in killing him. He couldn't come to terms with this, so he suddenly grabbed the first's neck. He promised the shadow that they would die together today. The demon's body vibrated and began to swell. Lin's assistant realized that the king wanted to self-destruct. The demon realized that he had lost, so he dragged Lin's shadow into the grave with him. The first one does not understand how to avoid tragedy. The demon swelled into the shape of a ball. A second later, there was an explosion. Meanwhile, the Cloudy Sky Special Squad arrived. The participants were worried that someone had killed the Demon King before them. In the dust from the explosion, they saw a blue glare. They were surprised by the First's armor, which belonged to a man from the Temple of War. Meanwhile, a frightened Lin Yunmu woke up in the car. He pretended to have a nightmare. He broke the connection with the shadow in time, otherwise it would have been the end for him. The system congratulated him on his victory over the strongest Demon King. For this, the hero received crystals, energy, and some of the demon's things. Now the young man possesses the destructive power of the king. Lin shouted with joy throughout the car and confused his comrades. Suddenly he turned his attention to the girl, who was surrounded by monsters. Zheng Daxiang's company was proud to have escaped from such a situation. Suddenly the hero recognized that girl as Li Xing. Lin Yunmu decided to save her, but his comrades were not happy with this idea. The hero got out of the car alone and went to help. Zheng was embarrassed that Yunmu suddenly became active in front of the girl. Shuang thought that their friend had fallen in love with Lady Xing. Meanwhile, Xing tried to fight off a group of monsters. It seemed to her that the monsters had been much calmer before. Xing Li had a few more specimens left to kill. Suddenly, one of the largest monsters grabbed her leg. He threw the heroine aside, and she dropped her weapon. Xing saw death in the monster's eyes. She closed her eyes and waited for the end. She didn't expect it, but help came to her. Lin Yunmu repelled the monster from the defenseless Xing in time. He lifted the monster by the throat with one hand and threw it into the rock. After that, like a hero, he inquired about the girl's health. At this moment, Li Xing felt a warm feeling in her chest. One of the mutants wanted to pounce on Lin, but the hero hit him much faster. Yunmu beat him and threw him with all his might into a tree. This was the last demon from the group that surrounded Li Xing. The girl fell in love with Lin even more. There was an awkward pause between the heroes, which was broken by Zheng. He suggested that the company quickly leave for a safe place. Xing was very frightened by Zheng's appearance. Yunmu calmed her down and offered to go with them. The girl did not refuse, because it was on her way. Soon the hero's car arrived at the Happy Wind Institute. Lin quickly took the Chang and Shan brothers to the doctor. He personally ensured that his comrades received the assistance they needed. During this, the main character was recognized by other students. They knew that the team Yunmu was on was the best. The students were proud that Xiong's team had raised Lucky Wind City's ranking. Lin was eavesdropping on this conversation and was interrupted by director Tang An. From the first day of the competition, Tan chose the hero as his favorite student. It was this man who brought his school and city a high place in the rankings. Tang An even began to look after Lin as if he were his son, but the young man did not like it. The hero drove away the annoying Tang An and began to look for Liu Nuojie. Suddenly someone called out to Lina, and the hero thought it was her. Turning around, he saw a concerned Li Xing. The girl had already made up her mind about her feelings, so she decided to pursue the hero. She started saying that she wanted to spend time with Lin. Yunmu didn't listen to her because he was busy looking for Liu Nuojie. Xing thought that Lin was dating Liu and became jealous of him. It was hard for her to realize that she would not be able to have a relationship with her savior. Xing announced that she had seen Liu, who had returned from the competition injured. When the hero calmed down, the girl invited him to have dinner together. She wanted to pay Lina for saving her life. Jing invited Yunmu to her dorm in the evening, but he had other things to do. He promised her that he would invite her another time. Before leaving, Jing asked Lin when this would happen. The young man explained that he himself did not know when their date would take place. In fact, he didn't want to spend time together. Zheng watched this and was touched when he saw Lin with the girl. By evening, Lin returned home and decided to check the awards. Basically, he only got the crystals in Weidu's magic box. But there was also something that seriously worried him. It was Weidu's stone. The hero heard about him from some legends. He immediately went to look for books where he had seen this stone. This stone, once perfected, can create a whole separate world. The person who perfects this stone will be able to control the world it created. The protagonist took possession of the real treasure by killing the Demon King. He decided not to waste time and to start improving the stone. To do this, he needs 30,000 experience points. The young man decided not to be greedy and donated them. The system notified that the stone upgrade was successful. The next second, the main character was transported to an unknown space. This is the world that the Weidu stone created. The young man had never seen anything more beautiful in his entire life. However, there is too little room for him in this world. Yunmu didn't like this and threw the stone away in anger. The stone entered the slab and a reaction occurred. The slab on which the main character sat began to grow. The young man realized that the floor was growing, feeding on the crystals in Weidu. Luckily, Lin had a lot of such stones in stock. He threw out half of them to increase the space around him. When he fed the slab 100 crystals, he was even able to lie down. Yunmu realized that in the future he would spend all the crystals for these very purposes. For now, he doesn't know how this created world will help him. At first, he regretted spending more than 100 crystals on an ordinary stove. Later, the system informed him that the dimension was called the Star World, which now belonged to Yunmu. The power of the Star World can only be replenished by attacks in the outside world. The level of the Star World depends entirely on the strength of the owner. The hero was upset that he had wasted a lot of crystals on nonsense. He will try to earn as many crystals as possible. Now he wanted to add a few more stones and increase the slab. He stopped in time when he realized that this slab would never stop growing. For a long time, Lena did not abandon the thought of throwing another crystal. Suddenly his thoughts were interrupted by a random call. It was a call from Team Captain Jung Daxiong. He ordered Lin to quickly appear in the common area. A few minutes later, Yunomu went to the Happy Wind Institute Square. The director of the institute gathered all the students to announce something important. The hero tried to stay away, but Li Xing still noticed him. Yunmu asked the girl to stop approaching his team. They were watched by Zheng and Shuang, who were sure that their friend had fallen in love. In a second, the main character felt ill. It turned out that Liu Nuojie had pounced on him and started to strangle him with her hugs. She was worried about Lin when she heard the story about the killer. The conversation between Lin and Liu was observed by Xing, who was very jealous of the young man. At this moment, members of Luo Jin's team approached the hero. They didn't expect to see Big Xiong's team here. They thought that Lin and his friends had been killed by demons long ago. The young men began to insult Lin, but quickly fell silent. Zheng stood up for his team and challenged Hao to a fight. Hao was not afraid to fight because he considered Xiong's team to be losers. He was the most opposed to them. Zhen insisted on a fight to decide who was right, but their quarrel was interrupted by the appearance of the teacher. Bowen forced the youth to apologize to each other. He also asked Shuang to give him the weapon. Shuang announced to Hao that his life was saved only thanks to Bowen. According to her, if the young man had attacked her team, he would already be dead. In this situation, Lin noticed that his friends had developed a true team spirit. The teacher resolved the situation and announced the results of the competition. Happy Wind City entered the top teams for the first time and took 48th place. Bowen was pleased with all the participants and decided to reward everyone. He offered to open the treasury and split the reward. None of the students had ever been to this mysterious place. Tang An, as the director, led the students inside. According to her, everyone can find something valuable in the Lucky Wind treasury. Lin was delighted with its size, but to Zhen it seemed small compared to his house. Tan said that all participants will enter according to their ranking. It's time to announce the results of the competition. The Big Xiong team took first place. No one expected that Zheng and his friends would be higher than Luo Jin. Many expected that Lin and his losers would lose the very first fight. Big Xiong's team had the opportunity to choose the gifts first. Lin didn't want to attract unnecessary attention, but suddenly Hao approached him to deal with the leader of the raiding. Luo Noji stood up for her friend and told him how talented he was in every battle. Hao then pushed the girl away and asked Lin not to hide behind women. According to him, the main character in the competition relied only on Xuan. Hao decided to test Lin's strength and challenged him to a fight. Lin wanted to give up on this idea, but he saw his friend's resentment. Hao was confident that his opponent would not dare accept the challenge. Lin Yunmu declared with absolute confidence that he was ready to fight. He began to prepare for battle, and Hao became uneasy. Big Xiong's team thought that the guy was just unlucky to find himself in this situation. He could pounce on any student, but not on Lin Yunmu. The protagonist's comrades were confident that he would win. Hao became enraged and was the first to attack. He used ranged skills, but Lin carefully dodged them. Hao understands that the battle will be long. Lin missed every blow he struck. 5 minutes had passed since the first attack, and Lin had not attacked even once. Then Hao asked him not to run from place to place, but to hit like a man. The protagonist promised that his opponent would regret this request. Hao was stunned when he saw Lin's fist flying in front of him. He didn't expect that this blow would throw him back several meters. It seemed like even Jin's friends were rooting for Yunmu. Big Xiong's team wanted to increase their authority in the eyes of the students. Lin thought the fight was over, but Hao rose to his feet. The young man activated all his powers and pounced on Lin. There was not a drop of fear in the protagonist's eyes. He had read Hao's flight path in advance and had positioned his fist in advance. Due to the collision with Lin's fist, Hu was sent flying back into the bushes. This time the fall was hard and the young man sustained damage. Many neutral disciples had no idea that Lin Yunmu was so cool. They had previously supported Hao's team and considered him one of the best participants. This situation showed that Lin Yunmu deservedly ranks higher than other participants. Tang An announced that it was clear to everyone which of the young men was strong. She invited the students to enter the treasury to choose a reward. Lin apologized to her and explained that it wasn't a fight, but a bore. He went to get the reward, and Hao took out the dagger. Tang An managed to warn the protagonist about the threat. Hao shouted to Lin that he would never lose to him in the competition. He rushed at Yunmu with his eyes bloodied with rage, and this time the hero skillfully missed the attack. Having performed the maneuver, he broke his opponent's arm. Everyone present saw that the arm was broken in several places. The students immediately decided never to cross Lin's path in their lives. Hao harbored even more resentment towards Lin. He promised to report this incident to the Riflemen's Union. Tang An witnessed Hao's attack and considered his actions illegal. She announced that she would report the attempted assassination of Yunmu to the Union herself. When the situation calmed down, Tang allowed Lin to enter the treasury. The protagonist knew that he wouldn't find anything worthwhile here. Before entering, Liu Nuoji accused Lin of cruelty. The hero explained that he could not leave the killer unpunished. Lin gave Liu advice for the rest of his life. He believes that one should never leave the enemy the opportunity to counterattack. The heroes saw many precious things in the treasury. Zheng's team was glad to be the first to enter here. The heroes ran around the room and began to choose weapons for themselves. The main character was not interested in participating in this. Sister Shuang asked Ling to evaluate her gift for him. She found something that was much more interesting than any knife or sword. It was a ball that bestows a special fighting technique on its owner. Taking it in his hands, Lin became interested in the deadly technique of this ball. This technique strengthens swordsmanship skills. The young man decided that he would choose this technique as a reward. The system scanned the space and alerted the owner to a valuable item. She pointed out to the hero a wall that no one was paying attention to. Lin Yunmu noticed what he needed on the wall. He put the ball down and offered Xuan to take it for herself. The girl believed that the killer technique should belong to Lin. Yunmu himself walked up to the wall and picked up an old bow. This weapon had an engraving of a black raven on it. Lin had definitely decided that he would take the bow for himself. Xuan believed that no weapon could compare to the magic ball. The hero explained to her that he felt an inner fire when he looked at this old bow. Song heard Shuang and Ling's quarrel and decided to find out the details. Shuang said that Lin did not appreciate her gift. She left offended and suggested that her brother take the ball for himself. The boy didn't know why he needed this ball, but he decided to listen to his sister. Meanwhile, the main character was already heading towards the exit. Zheng scolded him for making Lin forget about the command. The hero said that he wanted to return home to learn the skills of his bow. Then Song approached him and offered to take away the Northern Lights' deadly technique. According to him, neither he nor his sister needed this precious thing. It would be a shame for them to leave it for other teams. Shan advised Lin to arm himself well. In his opinion, the Hao family will definitely take revenge on him for the fight. Then the whole team promised that if there was a dispute with the Hao family, they would help Lin. The main character decided to listen to his friends and took the magic ball for himself. He felt pleased because he had not felt the warmth of friendship for a long time. Lin Yunmu returned home and forced the system to learn the technique. To learn the Northern Lights technique, you need to spend 4,000 experience points. Lin once again did not spare the points and activated the learning process. The process began and the hero felt cold energy. Blue energy threads spread throughout the room. These threads intertwined into one whole and formed a weapon. Lin was given the black crowbow. He hadn't taken it from the treasury before, but received it now for learning the skill. The system congratulated the owner on receiving a combat bow with runes of the seventh monster, Waidu. The protagonist realized that they were talking about Black Raven. This bow contains the soul of the bow's owner. Previously, Lin felt that this warrior was calling him from the bow. He fears that the soul of a daredevil may be of no use to him. The system offered the hero to increase the system level. After leveling up, Lin will be able to remove the seal. The seal fettered the warrior's soul. Lin spent some power and raised the system level. He decided that he would work on removing the seal from Raven right now. When he gave the command to the system, he felt unwell. Everything began to spin before my eyes, and the ordinary world disappeared. The main character found himself in front of a huge cage. He was afraid that someone had decided to put him under arrest. Coming closer to the cage, he saw a warrior who was the Black Raven. Yunmu said that he came here to remove the seal from him. To do this, he needs the power of the Raven. He learned that removing the seal required a lot of internal technique. Lin doesn't have enough of it now. The master ordered the system to use all the power it had. As a result, Lin was only able to damage one link of the chain. The Raven mocked his high expectations. He knew from the very beginning that Lin would fail. The Raven told the hero that he had a seal on him consisting of 3 layers. He saw potential in Yunmu, and so decided to give him some of his power. The protagonist was confident that he would break the seal in the future. The Raven flapped its wing and sent power to Lin. 3 crows emerged from the force, and they would now listen to Yunmu's orders. If the young man frees the warrior, he will give him much more power. The hero promised that he would definitely help him free himself. After the conversation, the world began to disappear, and Lin seemed to dissolve along with it. A minute later, he opened his eyes and found himself back in his room. After his journey, his bow changed a lot. The hero himself felt an increase in strength in his body. By lunchtime, he arrived at Van Ven's house. There was a sign on the door that this place was a pawn shop. The hero wanted to leave, but a voice called out to him. It was the pawn shop owner who joyfully greeted the guest. He was willing to help Lin evaluate any item for purchase. The young man explained that he did not want to buy anything and had come for other purposes. He knew that there were contraband goods in this place. The old man realized that the conversation would be about business. To avoid prying eyes and ears, he invited Lin to go inside. Inside the building, the hero showed him the crown of the Demon King and asked him to name the price. The pawn shop owner couldn't understand where a simple guy could get such a valuable thing. He showed the number 6 without making a sound. Yunmu said that this was a low price, and he was not willing to give this thing away for next to nothing. The old man surprised him when he said it meant $1.5 million. Besides buying, the old man would like to become closer friends with Lin. In fact, Lin knew the price of the crown, and it was just a test. He showed the man the Demon King's staff, uniform, and ring. When the old man agreed to buy, Lin gave him a parchment with inscriptions. The old man began to lose consciousness when he saw the parchment with the 5 Weidu runes. He asked Lin to put this thing away because he could not buy it. Wang Wen, worried, gave Lin advice about the parchment. He asked him not to show this magic piece of paper to anyone else just like that. The protagonist realized that he had in his hands an object that could be hunted. Meanwhile, Lina's sister, Juan, was working part-time. Lin's money is almost gone. The girl believed that her brother should not have to pay for his father's treatment alone. She tried to work more and more. Suddenly, a transfer of 300,000 arrived on her card. She immediately realized that Yunmu had sent this money. A few minutes later, the sister returned to her parents. There were strange people in black in the ward who frightened her and her parents. They introduced themselves as Juon and showed her the purchase and delivery documents. It turned out that the brother sent 3 Wade helmets to the family. Everything was already set up, and the household members needed to put on their helmets and start the system. Mom was afraid to do this because of possible problems. The sister trusted her brother and persuaded her parents to join the game. She turned on the helmet and found herself in front of a huge building. Her parents soon joined her. In the virtual world, my father's legs were whole and completely healthy. The man was happy that he could run and jump again. A couple of minutes later, their son, Lin Yunmu, arrived. He hadn't seen his family for several weeks because he was busy looking for money. In a whisper, he jokingly asked his father not to irritate him, otherwise he would cut off his legs. The hero was grateful to Juon for taking care of his parents all this time. The sister believed that it was harder for her brother, since he earned money alone. The parents were wondering where they would go with the whole family now. The young man asked them to turn around and showed them their new house. After inspecting the house, Lin Yunmu went on business. He wanted to get to the arena as soon as possible and fight the monsters. Because of the CCTV system, he was afraid that outsiders would find out about his power. A plan formed in his head, and Lin entered the competition system. He became someone that no one but his friends should know about. Rabbit Pedro found several rivals for his owner. The young man fought masterfully and won every fight. In total, he defeated 10 opponents in an hour. He was getting bored of fighting random people. Lin wanted to meet an equal opponent. Meanwhile, Tom John could not find a decent opponent. Tom John is a contender for the top spots in the City of Heavenly Clouds rankings. Everyone knows him as the most talented fighter of his generation. A couple of girls, noticing him, came up to him for an autograph. The young man signed with pride, enjoying his popularity. At that moment, another person handed him a piece of paper for an autograph. It was Pedro the rabbit challenging him to a fight. Tom signed the challenge and began to mock the rabbit. He believed that such an animal could only belong to some newcomer. Pedro declared that the owner had tricked him into signing the challenge with Tom. That same day, the protagonist waited for his opponent for several hours. He hoped that Pedro's assistant would not let him down. Suddenly, the system announced that the enemy had been found. It turned out to be that very same Tom John. Tom greeted Lin and reproached him for the rabbit's rudeness. Cameras in the arena broadcast what was happening to all the streets of the city. Hundreds of spectators watched their favorite Tom John. They believed that the newcomer Lin Yunmu was much weaker than him. One of the girls in the crowd really wanted to become a fan of Lin. She didn't yet know that she would soon witness his triumph. Tom John declared that he would never give in to a newcomer. He put on his gear and was the first to attack. Lin was grateful to him for agreeing to fight. He glanced at his opponent, but he suddenly disappeared from sight. Everything happened too quickly, and the main character fell to the ground. Despite this, Tom's actions seemed impressive to him. Yunmu realized that this fight would teach him new tricks. Tom proves with his movements that he is the most talented and youngest of the generations of the City of Heavenly Clouds. Despite this, Lin did not want to lose to him. He openly admitted that his opponent was very tough. Tom also realized for himself that Lin Yunmu was not so simple. It cannot be that the owner of Simple Crystals could compete with him. He asked Lin if he was really at the level of Simple Crystals. The protagonist denied this information and announced an attack. He concentrated all his strength and rushed at Tom. His movements proved that he was at the level of complex crystals. To avoid the damage, Tom used the Heavenly Demon Steps technique. He only uses it when the opponent is very strong. Despite Lin's strong technique, the young men differ greatly in strength. If they had only one step difference, Lin would have been able to win. Tom suggested that Yunmu try the Mad Sword Strike. Then fire and ice energies intertwined in the location. Tom barely stayed on his feet after the blow. He was grateful to Pedro the Rabbit for a worthy opponent. Lin Yunmu admitted that it was he who told Pedro to invite Tom. The people watching saw only flickering shadows. The characters' movements were too fast, and the audience was unable to see anything. Tom's fans are starting to wonder about Lin's true strength. Despite his strength, the hero takes damage from the opponent's attacks. He hopes to win this fight. Tom doesn't recognize his talents because of the difference in strength. The hero decides to prove his superiority to him. Tom had previously resisted his 3-tier sword attack. Now the hero decided to use a 6th-level attack. Tom noticed that this guy's attacks had become stronger. He wanted to attack Lin from behind by deception. The main character noticed this in time and reacted. The spectators thought that this fight would last forever. Tom didn't want to lose in front of hundreds of thousands of spectators. Suddenly, he fell into a stupor when Lin attacked. The protagonist performed a level 6 attack. Tom barely stayed on his feet and received minor damage. Suddenly, Yunmu was covered in a dark, powerful aura. This aura seriously frightened the opponent. In his opinion, Lin cannot possess such power at this level. Even Tom can't achieve that kind of progress in such a short period of time. He realized that Lin was using his attacks, and all the previous blows served as fuel for Lin. Tom had no choice. He created a protective dome, but the hero was not afraid to meet him. He easily smashed it into small pieces. The outcome of the battle depends on just one blow. Tom used all his strength and power to do this. This was his last decisive attack. Lin easily suppressed her with his improved sword. A message about Lin's victory appeared on the city's screens. Analysts are trying to understand how a newcomer can wield such devastating power. The protagonist realizes that his abnormal growth arouses too much suspicion. Meanwhile, Jung watches Lin's success. He guesses that his friend is hiding his power from them. Dust settled on the arena floor and Lin appeared from the fog. He proudly announced his victory over the experienced competitor. For this, he received 100 points of enemy energy. He asks the system to challenge the next ranked fighter. He defeated him with the Mad Sword technique. The spectators did not believe that the newcomer was stronger than the experienced participants. They knew it wasn't just luck. They were curious about where this newcomer Li Yun came from. $30,000 appeared in Lin's account. Pedro said that this is money for watching the battle. After 10,000 subscribers, the system awards money for views. Anyone who wants to watch Lin fight must pay him. The hero decided to return to the real world to see his family. Suddenly, he received a call from Liu Nuojie. The girl suspects that Lin Yunmu is the hero from the screens, Li Yun. The hero needs to come up with a legend to avoid disclosure of his identity. Lin Yunmu decides to officially divide his achievements between himself and his shadows. He told Liu that the hero was his brother. According to him, they are part of the Lai family secret sect. The image of a disciple of a great sect gives him a special status in the eyes of the clans. Yunmu plans to use this to gather resources and further upgrade. He asked Liu not to tell his family secret. He said he only trusts Liu Nuojie. The girl promised to keep it a secret. It warmed her heart that Lin trusted her. She understands that she means a lot to him. Li Yun and Li Feng begin to appear in the Battle Network arena. They demonstrate a fighting style that is different from the hero's main style. Not a single movement of the shadows allows one to guess about Lin's tricks. With this lie, the hero ensured his safety in society. Once he even fought with his shadow in public. Li Yunmu watches as the internet fills with news. Everyone is writing about his fictional Li secret sect. The hero understands that now his unusual power no longer arouses suspicion. Now all of Lin's merits are attributed to the secret teaching. Lin Yunmu is strolling through the shopping district near his sister's store. He notices a suspicious stranger near Juyan's store. Lin pushes through the crowd to intervene. A stranger persistently tries to sell black crystals to a girl. Yunmu intervenes in time and drives him away. The store closed for break. A confidential conversation takes place between a brother and sister. Lin scolds Joan for letting strange people near her. He only wishes her a good husband who can provide for her. Zhuo admits that he doesn't want any riches. She only dreams of simple family happiness. She wants to live with her mom, dad, and brother. Lin, touched by his sister's words, promises to provide her with a safe life. He is proud that his sister is so close to her parents and that she takes care of them. He gives her resources for her well-being. Suddenly, Lin receives an emergency call. Chang informs him that the group needs his help. Xiong's team is in the battle arena. The hero drops everything and goes to this place. His teammates were put in difficult situations by the opponent's attacks. Detractors say the team is only held together by Shuang's talent. All their talent can be considered a waste. Liu Nuoji tries to protect the group's reputation, but is met with rudeness. Lin Yunmu rushes onto the scene. The situation is getting tense due to Lin's overconfidence. Liu told him about all the words spoken by her rivals. Shan is confident that Lin will fight these envious people. However, the hero does not want a battle. He knows that that team has a high level of strength. Yunmu sees his comrades on the verge of defeat. The entire crowd present demands a spectacle. Lin understands that his opponents have deliberately thrown his team off balance. Shan announced that another member had been added to the team. The opponents announced that they were close to victory. One of the spectators makes a huge bet of 100,000 crystals. He bets on his team to win, anticipating an easy win. In a tense moment in the arena, Tom Jin joins the enemy team, causing shock to everyone. He directly challenges Lin Yunmu. Tom suggests significantly increasing the stakes on the protagonist's defeat. He intends not just to win, but to humiliate Li Yunmu. From the very beginning, Lin was against fighting. Tom offers him his prized sword as a reward for his victory. Everyone saw the Snowfrost sword in his hands. If you engrave runes on it, the sword will become Class A. If you temper the soul of a warrior, the sword will rise to a higher level. The hero didn't know what to put at stake. Tom announced that he wanted to meet Li Yun after the fight. The protagonist, despite the danger, accepts the challenge. This battle can bring him the crystals he needs for the system. He proposes to fight until one side admits defeat. All spectators are holding their breath in anticipation of the grand battle between the two titans. Nobody understood why Tom needed Li Yun. The arena is an entire island with a tropical forest. Lin asked his comrades to leave Tom Jin in his care. Tom prepares to strike the first blow, heralding the start of a spectacular duel. Lin summoned the ravens to test them in battle. He took out a bow, but Zheng knew that Lin didn't know how to use it. The crows are hidden in this very weapon. The system suggested avoiding lies and learning the lunar eclipse technique. The hero fell into a stupor, waiting for the system's response. Meanwhile, the participants scattered through the forest. Zheng gave the command for everyone to prepare for battle. Lin Yunmu became completely weak and went offline. He shot up into the air, holding a killing weapon in his hands. Spectators watched as he fired 7 arrows at once. Lin attacks, although the enemy is a kilometer away from him. All the arrows flew straight at a member of the other team. The young man had to try hard to avoid death. In the end, he didn't get a single scratch. The audience demanded that Lin draw the mad sword. Lin used the lunar eclipse technique. This created a magical seal on the opponent. The magic dog suddenly flew out of the seal. When he touched the young man, he fell into a stupor. Spectators witnessed the boy being torn to pieces. Tom was excited that this guy's bow could shoot so far. At this moment, the hero wounded one of the enemy team. The young man admitted that his hand was bleeding, but he could continue fighting. He had no idea that something big was threatening him. Lena the bird flew up and grabbed the guy. In flight, she pinched his back and arms. The boy asked to let him go, and the bird did so at a great height. The main character has 3 opponents left to kill. Meanwhile, the bird chose a new victim. People have only encountered these creatures in books. They knew that the magical ravens were sealed by the King of Destruction. The opponents decided to get as close to Lin as possible. Yunmu immediately shot one of them, and he was eliminated from the battle. The opponents realized that they couldn't get to the hero. They are within his firing range. Of all the members of the other team, only 2 remained. Lin did everything to be alone with Tom. The second hero had to activate the secret weapon. He easily broke 2 of the protagonist's arrows. He suggested that Tom challenge Yunmu directly. Tom asked to cover him while he ran to Lin. At that very moment, his interlocutor died. Only Tom Jin remained from the team. Lin announced to him the beginning of a tough battle. He was completely confident of his victory. His friends took no part in the battle. Lin turned away and did not notice Tom's attack. It was a blow of golden crystals. This helped Tom activate his destructive technique. Tom believes this will help him defeat Lin. Lin noticed that his opponent had broken through to a new level. Tom admitted that he wanted to use this technique in the fight with Li Yun. He attacked the tree on which the main character was standing. The hero didn't notice how he started falling from the tree. In flight, he released 5 accurate arrows from his bow. Tom managed to cross his arms and activate the protective field. Lin knew his crows would be able to break through the defense. These birds really annoyed the opponent. He threatened Lin that he would kill every bird. He began to writhe and released his power. The main character did not suspect that Tom could pose a threat. A stream of wind formed that blew away Comrade Lin. Tom tried to call upon the warrior's soul to help him. From the outside, it looked like an assistant of enormous size. Compared to him, Tom looked like an ordinary ant. The protagonist recognized Tom's brilliant skill. The enemy waved his hand and activated the monster's attack. Now Tom himself can attack Lin from a safe place. The monster caught one of Lena's birds and destroyed it. Tom already has 2 crow kills to his credit. He is worried that he only has 1 assistant left. Then he immediately turned to the King of Destruction for help. The king admitted that he could easily kill this huge monster. The protagonist asked him for more strength to win. The warrior agreed, but demanded that the seal be destroyed in return. The system notified Lin that part of the chain was destroyed. In exchange, the warrior gave some of his power to Lin. Experienced Tom Jean had no idea that Lin had added to the number of assistants. He finished off the 3rd bird with ease and joy. Lin warned him not to relax. He immediately released about 10 birds from his bow. He ordered them to tear Tom to pieces. The opponent tried to catch all the crows with the help of a huge assistant. The entire location was filled with the blood of these individuals. The main character pretended to be very confused by this situation. At that moment, a golden raven flew out of his bow. There was a flash that blinded Tom. The young man realized that the corpses of the crows had merged into one. This golden light signified the power of golden crystals. Lin's assistant was much bigger than Tom's monster. People didn't understand what level of battle they were watching. They realized that the strongest one in the Lin family was this hero. The golden raven clicked on the monster's head and asked him to leave. The monster was covered in sweat from fear. Yunmu ordered his assistant to deal with all the opponents. The raven promised him that he would lead him to victory. Everyone watched this decisive moment of the battle in complete silence. A golden bird appeared in the hand of Lin's assistant. It is she who must kill the monster Tom. Tom admitted that this time he definitely lost. The screens again showed that Lin's team had won. Everyone understood that the main character fought alone against 5 people. For this battle, he received 170 points of void energy. Liu Norji rushed towards him with congratulations. Zheng noticed that during the battle, the hero only used that strange bow. He advised Lin to use it wisely to grow well. The main character tried not to show that he was the strongest of them. He returned to reality to check his awards. The system reported that void energy points could be used to expand space. The main character wanted to have a big star world. He didn't have time to use the system when he heard a knock on the door. Shan came to the protagonist to tell him important news. He recently heard that Lena was looking for Tom Jean. The protagonist realized that Tom wanted to engage in a solo duel with him. In real life, Tom is nothing like his game character. Lin laughed at him for not being able to part with him for a long time. Tom handed him the suitcase containing the Snowfrost sword. This case is made from 1,000-year-old white frosted jasper. The young man put his sword on the line just to see Li Yun. He couldn't calm down since he fought him. Tom admitted that he wanted to learn the mad sword technique. But today, he admitted his defeat and promised not to bother Lin anymore. The main character felt sorry for Tom because he looked too depressed. If he can't cope with the loss, he will be stuck in one place for a long time. Lin Yunmu decided to call Tom back for a talk. He proudly announced that he would fight him again in battle. He will use the mad sword throughout the battle. There was genuine joy on Tom's face. All those present heard this conversation and began to expect a battle. Tom was worried that the battle would take place in the real world. Lin calmed him down and showed him that he had a protective barrier. He immediately threw it aside to activate it and show it in action. A space appeared next to the heroes, concealing what was happening. In it, Tom and Yunmu will be alone. Spectators were worried that they wouldn't be able to see anything. They stood for a whole hour waiting for the winner. The crowd went into an uproar when the first body part appeared. Tom and Lin emerged from the portal at the same time, hugging each other. For Yunmu, it was an interesting experience of fighting in real life. Tom admitted that he was proud of this fight with Lin. Spectators rushed to Lin to ask about the winner. The protagonist said that only the 2 of them knew the outcome of the battle. The heroes took a long time to recover from the battle. Lin jokingly asked Tom for a reward for this long battle. He was eager to strengthen the Snowfrost sword. He knew that Tom's family was too rich. Tom refused to give the reward and advised Lin to contact the Tower of Triumph. The Tower of Triumph contains the combined strength of the entire Union of Marksmen. It has 108 floors, and to enter it you need to defeat the monster on each floor. For victory, the hero receives a tower medal, which can be exchanged for a prize. Tom told Lin how to get rich. Now it's up to the hero. When Lin Yunmu was left alone, Teacher Bowen approached him. He announced that the Heavenly Cloud Fortress would soon go to fight in the Demon Bull Field. Lin must definitely get there and fight there for a month. The protagonist went to the library to collect data about this. After reading 10 books, he still couldn't find the information he needed. He didn't even know where to start looking. Remembering Tom's support, he realized that he couldn't give up. Earlier, Tom had handed him a map of the secret entrances to the tower. The entrances are mainly located in the Demon Bull Field on Devil Mountain in the Dark Zone. Tom knew that Lin would go there, so he gave him such a gift. These are ancient scripts, and their decipherment depends only on Lin's efforts. Lin was able to find out that from the Devil Mountain to the Demon Bull Field, there were hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Suddenly he was informed that the Devil's Mountain was an area filled with monsters. It was Liu Nuojie who became interested in finding Lin. She doesn't understand why he is looking for information about this particular dangerous place. The hero started yelling at her because of his increased curiosity, but the girl quickly calmed him down. She believed that he could die there, despite the protective technique and the hidden sect. In her opinion, this is not a place you can go to without preparation. The protagonist calmed her down and promised that everything would be okay with him. He hugged her and said that he would not make her worry anymore. His apology made the girl feel a flutter in her heart. Because of his worries, Liu Ling realized that the place was indeed dangerous. Despite the danger, he has serious things to do. At the end of the conversation, he promised that he would definitely return alive for her sake. Liu sheepishly pretended not to care about the protagonist's fate. Lin took her hand and said that he had revealed her true feelings. As she was leaving, she asked him to warn her if he went to that place. Lin's friends were proud of him and his popularity. Lin returned to the library and continued searching for information about the Devil's Mountain. He saw a suitable picture in one of the books. From the description, it follows that it will indeed be very dangerous there. The next day, Lin arrived at the Tower of Triumph and registered as a participant. He was informed that a separate fee had to be paid to enter the tower. Lin didn't want to lose $500,000 in one trip. He went to the tower only to find ancient runes for his new sword. Here he met Qin Yu and Lin Li. The girls decided that Lin was still at the level of ordinary crystals. Qin Yu believes that the ordinary archers here have greater strength than ordinary people. This guy seemed too familiar to them. The girls really wanted to hit Lin from behind. They approached him to greet him, and the hero was almost speechless. He had already met them before. Lin and Qin Yu are the girls who hate him the most. The hero gathered his strength and greeted the girls. This time they seemed too beautiful to him. Lin also noted that Yunmu's appearance had become unusually beautiful. Qin Yu became embarrassed and pretended to be mistaken. The main character decided not to miss the chance and showed them his attention. This gesture seemed rude to Qin Yu, and she pounced on him with accusations. Lin Yunmu got angry at her and asked her not to haunt him for the rest of her life. He promised that otherwise he would rip off her clothes and throw them in the mountains. Qin Yu remembered that this guy talked like that loser who made her look stupid. After the girls left, Lin tried to come to his senses. He was disgusted by his own behavior, but the situation amused him. Suddenly he heard that they were distributing souvenirs from the Union nearby, and Lin bought a mask there. The main character climbed to the top of the tower and was surprised by this beauty. To avoid being recognized, he wore a toad mask. Qin Yu hit him and asked him not to block the passage. She realized that he was intoxicated by the star world of the founder of Strelkov. She was referring to the man who was the first to awaken the Archer's power. During the Dark Age, he became a beacon of hope for all of humanity. The girl asked not to underestimate the Tower of Triumph, because you never know what you'll die from here. According to her, the tower not only has 108 floors above ground, but also the same number below. Only those who received a pass in the Dark Zone can enter the tower. Qin Yu decided to guide Lin around some locations. The protagonist knew that he needed to get into the Dark Zone. Because of Lina Jinyu's rudeness and jokes, she left his company. The young man was interested to know what this place was so famous for. The doors to the first floor opened in front of Lin. Ahead of him, the hero saw 3 other different doors. These were the door of the Sacred Archers, the door of the Archers, and the door of the Super Archers. A Sacred Marksman is one who has surpassed the level of a Super Marksman. Currently, the hero can only enter the regular Shooter Arch. He walked up to the door and saw the name he needed on the list. He promised that he would never lose to him. Suddenly, the system warned the hero that he was in a dangerous place. The system finished scanning and announced that a map had been loaded into the shadows. The Tower of Triumph is divided into 3,333 spaces. If the hero dies, Weidu's tower will take all of his energy. This is a training tower, but even in it you can easily die. The young man realized that with the help of the shooter's energy, the masters were expanding this world. It seems that the founder of this tower is not the first awakened hero of humanity. Lin asked the system to scan the tower and find the founder's residence. The system did this in a second and transferred the hero to another location. The tower's master and the Weidu demons constitute the embodiment of this tower. The tower is currently controlled by a creature with basic intelligence. The founder sent his consciousness into oblivion to become the deity of the 12 stars. He has already collected 7, and only 5 remain until he becomes a deity. A man who is considered a hero by everyone does not hesitate to kill people for the sake of a deity. The hero went to the first door and opened it. At first, it seemed to him that this location was completely empty. A second later, monsters that looked like ugly rats began to attack him. The protagonist realized that this was the first test for him. One of the rats attacked him and threw him into the wall. The hero managed to maneuver to take low damage. During the attack, the rat scratched his entire arm until it bled. The main character had a slight feeling of fear. These monsters are said to be as powerful as regular crystal shooters at the peak of their skill. Now Lin has to fight 9 rats at once. Further on, the young man will encounter many deadly traps on other floors. Right now, it's only at the first level of difficulty. So far, he doesn't know what technique to use in the fight with the rats. The monsters united and launched a joint attack. The hero quickly activated his leg rotation skill. After that, he asked the system to activate the shadow. The wolf-like creature received a powerful, devastating blow of blue energy. Body parts and debris fly apart as the blue blade pierces the enemy's head. From the flames emerges the majestic shadow of Lina, standing calmly in the darkness. Lin understands that he will make good money in this fight. Pink rays sweep away the silhouettes of enemies, dropping them down. The blue flame spirit flares with bright light, strengthening the form. The wolf's body is blown to pieces by a powerful explosion. The second's purple shadow rushes to help the blue shadow. The shadows learn to fight together through battles in the Weidu arena. With this floor finished, Yunmu ordered his assistants to return to space. Suddenly, a blue system window appeared from the floor. Here Lin can buy ancient Weidu script or Thunder and Lightning script. Now it's no wonder why many players risk their lives in this tower. Lin's eyes widen in sudden fear or surprise. He wants to purchase the Shadow Fairy's blood for 2,000 points. The system informed Yunmu that he had obtained the seed of the Shadow artifact. In order for the seed to grow, it must be watered with the blood of a Shadow Fairy. It lives only in the shadows and is very difficult to find. The main character found another rare item in this panel. The system asked him not to be impudent and to choose something else. Lin was confident that he could easily climb a few more floors. On the second floor, he killed 19 otherworldly rats using shadows. 29 rats were killed on the third floor. On the fourth floor, the shadows helped the hero kill 40 otherworldly rats. And so the hero found himself on the difficult fifth floor. He needs to kill 50 otherworldly rats and 1 rat general. Lin released his assistants from space with particular enthusiasm. The shadows were several times smaller than the rat general. The first fighter had to attack the rat from the left flank. At the moment of the attack, the rat general's eyes filled with blood. He grabbed the shadow and threw it to the floor. The protagonist realized that it was very difficult to hit the rat general on the head. The second assistant needs to distract the rat's attention with a false attack. The young man changed tactics and ordered the first number to kill a pack of small rats. Close-range attacks produced no results. Then Lin himself waved upward and activated the weapon. He had the power of the King of Destruction in his reserve. This technique appears as a star whirlpool, which is called the Eclipse attack. Yunmu activated the Eclipse on the ancient bow. With his clever moves, he outplayed the Rat King. The king was distracted by the shadows and did not notice Lin's actions. Then the young man released the magic dog from his bow. This dog attacked the rat general and bit him on the hand. A powerful explosion occurred in the location. It seemed that neither the general nor the shadows could survive this explosion. As the dust from the explosion settled on the floor, Lin knew he had completed the task. Coins began to fall from the ceiling of the Tower of Triumph. By this time, the first shadow had finished with the small rats. Lin greedily began to count the number of coins he had earned. He decided that there were still few of them, and entered the 6th floor. He was not at all tired from the previous floors, and therefore was ready to move on. Lin's fans were worried that he had been offline for several days. They thought that he had lost the battle with Tom Jean, and was now afraid to show himself to people. One of the girls believed in Yunmu's success, as he was able to defeat even the top competitors. A special broadcast announcement was loudly announced on the street. The system congratulated Lin Yunmu on entering the 10th floor of the Tower of Triumph. The spectators present could not understand how Lin ended up in that dangerous place. A person with the level of ordinary crystals cannot reach the 10th floor. In the capital, important people from the Union of Riflemen were collecting information about Lina. The Temple of the God of War has published a notice that Yunmu is joining the ranks of the temple's test subjects. The people of the Union decided to outwit the temple and offered Lin's family the right to live in the capital. According to them, Lin Yunmu is a young star of Zhengzhou City. The message about the Lin family's right to live in the capital was heard throughout the streets. Lin's fans realized that the Temple of the God of War and the Union of Riflemen had decided to lure the hero to their side. People saw such a young and talented person for the first time in their lives. At the same time, Lin Yunmu was fighting on the 11th floor of the tower. In total, he killed more than 100 reinforced rats here. One of the rats was a gold crystal level monster. Lin used an eclipse and explosion attack. After the explosion, the tower's coins rained down on him again. The main character liked that he could earn money in a short period of time. However, soon his strength will be at its limit. With her shadows, Lin can now defeat gold crystal level enemies. It's time to count the accumulated coins. Killing the Rat King gave the young man 300 coins. The hero has 2,370 coins in stock. These funds will be enough for Yunmu to pay for all his needs. For entering the difficult tower, Lin received additional points. He decided to exchange the bonus coins for something worthwhile. After the exchange, the location lit up with golden light. The hero felt vibrations throughout his body and trembling with fear. A huge scale appeared in front of him. Lin didn't yet understand why he needed these scales. The system suggested that he put all the coins into the bowl. Lin was pleasantly surprised by the voice acting. He threw all the coins he had in his supply into the bowl. At that moment, a bottle of potion appeared in the bowl. Lin went to the Star World to sprinkle the fairy's shadow with this potion. There was real human chaos in the Star World. Lin put various things and objects there for a long time. Among the mountains of trash, he found a reward seed. The young man dug a hole and planted a seed using a special ritual. Now you need to pour the magic liquid on it. When the Shadow Fairy's blood fell on the ground, the seed sprouted. In a matter of seconds, the flower blossomed and turned golden. There was a bright flash that threw the hero behind him. Lin Yunmu laughed and considered himself a novice gardener. He was curious to know what kind of plant he had just grown. A little girl was sleeping in a flower bud. The system congratulated Lin on the birth of the Shadow Queen. The young man hopes that he will take care of the queen like a caring father. The girl was sleeping, and her indicators showed a disgusting mood. Lin Yunmu woke her up and she started crying. The hero couldn't wait to meet his daughter. The Shadow Queen recognized him as her father and asked for the first hug. When she reached out her hands to him, she accidentally threw Lin back several meters. After a long flight, he did not know how to approach the queen. The girl was angry that she didn't get a hug from her father. The young man did not expect that a child could actually be born from the seed. From this day on, they will always be together. The child showed by his whole appearance that he was very hungry. Yunmu didn't have anything that would be suitable for a newborn girl. His heart began to ache because of his daughter's suffering. The system reported that the Shadow Queen feeds on blood. Lin pricked his finger and began to feed his daughter. For such a sweet daughter, he doesn't mind shedding a little blood. He understood that the queen was too small and would not drink much. After some time, he felt unwell. The system reported that the quality of the host's blood was too low, and the queen needed more. Lin never thought that she could die while feeding a child. Suddenly, he felt a pleasant warmth in the neck area. The little daughter clung to him, expressing warm love. The Shadow Queen can move freely in space. If she doesn't want to show up, others won't see her. Her most powerful skill is force copy. She is capable of copying the power of Saint Level archers and below. Lin can put as much power into the queen as he wants. This is because the baby is capable of copying power that is greater than even her own. Lin called his daughter to him and promised to teach her to fight. A few minutes later, they went up to the next floor. Instead of angry rats, the hero saw women and birds. These were the bosses of the 12th floor. The Shadow Queen was eager to fight the feathered witches. She rushed at one of them, but received serious damage. The witch opened her mouth and released a frost diamond. The Shadow Queen didn't have time to escape and received a cold blow. It seems that on this floor, all the birds' actions will be directed against the Shadow Queen. Yunmu was worried about his assistant and told her to go to a safe place. An ice mountain appeared where the queen stood. The main character is afraid that his assistant will die.